Audio check 1, 2, 3. Audio check. And it's a very warm welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Motive Racing YouTube channel for Season 4 here for the GT3 Championship on the PlayStation 5. We are here at Spa-Francorchamps for the first round of the season. I'm absolutely stoked for this one. What a season we've got ahead of us. 8 rounds once again like we had last season, with only one track I believe on the calendar that we also had last season. We've seen a few repeat tracks which I'm going to go through in a few moments time, but I want to say a warm welcome to everybody currently joining us live here on YouTube for the tier 2s here tonight, starting off tonight as always for the GT3 Championship on a Sunday. We've got 21 drivers currently on the track at the moment. We're missing a couple, including Tony 0K, who's got a bit of load shedding going on in his area currently, residing in South Africa. So unfortunate that he couldn't be here, as he had some good pace. We saw in the practice a few moments ago he had some really strong, solid pace. So a real shame that he can't be with us here for this season opener, but nonetheless, we've got 21 drivers here, and we're expecting to have 22 I think for the tier 1s later on. So we've got plenty of drivers and lots of action to be seen across across both tiers here. We've got Tony's okay is chiming in. He's obviously watching as he's he's obviously got data on his phone, and I'm assuming he's got some kind of portable charger to keep that in check over the course of the load shedding, which is going to be continuing on over the course of tonight. So good to see him. We've got Robert Rolonsky as well there in the comments saying back again. Of course we're back. What else would we be doing here? That's Robe there in the comments. Two Fast South African boys actually chiming in here on the stream tonight. Robe will be on track later on in the tier 1s as well, so looking forward to seeing how he gets on his debut in tier 1. Obviously was the champion of this tier 2 division last season, so he'll be seeing these guys out, and he knows what they're going through. He knows what it's like to battle it out in the tier 2s and emerge victorious. And he was involved in quite a few battles. He wasn't he did win the championship by quite a big points margin, but he didn't win every race by any means. He was, there were a few races where he was in the thick of it, so he had to do a lot of battling. He knows what it's like fighting it out in a bit of a dogfight in tier 2, that's for sure. I got Totally 0K saying 100% right, and I've just nailed it. I'm there. I'm in that house right now. I'm joking, I'm not. But we got Totally 0K saying phone, data, and power. Oh yeah, no, that's Andrew saying let's go. Totally 0K, phone, data, and power bank. Well, you need these things, don't you? These are things that you need to plan for when your power goes out. Gila Chris there saying let's go. Gila Chris will be on track later on in the tier 1s as well. We've got a lot of drivers who raced in tier 2 last season chiming in here for the tier 2 race tonight. They will be out on track for the tier 1s. Robert Rolonsky was the tier 2 champion last season. Andrew and Gila Chris both managed to get promotion spots last season. Totally 0K is racing in this tier 2 division this season, but unfortunately, as I said before, couldn't make it here as his load shedding has conflicted with the time of the tier 2 race, which is a massive shame because he's a very enthusiastic fan here at Motive, always chiming in on the streams, always saying hello when we're live on not just ACC but also on Project Cars 2 and F1. So great to see you on the stream, mate, and hopefully we can see you out on track as soon as possible. He's also saying let's go Motive Racers, indeed, couldn't agree more. But let's get to the action here, because we've currently got we're into the final minute of qualifying here. We're actually, the time's up, so now the drivers can do their final laps that they're on. But this is the be-all end-all here for these drivers. And Sharka Zulu's just gone onto pole position there by a tenth of a second, so Diego has been on top spot for some time here. But Sharka Zulu now your man to beat, as he does a 2:19.5. Diego's out there right now. Can he respond as he goes very wide there, coming out of No Name? Would that have been an invalid lap time? Potentially it could be there for Diego. Error code's in third at the moment in this session. Exeron, Jill Silver in quite close in fourth and fifth. Those two stood out on the track. You got Karmasar racing in tier 2 this season, as he can't make the tier 1 times, but to be fair though, I mean, he's up there thereabouts in the tier twos. In the tier ones, he was sort of like down sort of the lower mid pack. So maybe the tier two is a bit more enjoyable for him to sort of be fighting it out at the sharp end. You've got Nath J Fletcher and Luke Van der Streets in the pits. MCVDG just coming through into the final part of the lap right now, as he's currently 1.2 seconds off for the pace. Pretty much most of the drivers are in the pits at the moment, so let's see what MCVDG can do here nonetheless as he comes into the bus stop chicane for the final time here in this qualifying session. We've got 16 of you currently watching the stream. Guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, as here we go. We've got MCVDG coming up towards the line, and he can't improve at the moment. Takes the checker flag. That is that then for him, as he brings it into the pits. So I think that's more or less it for the session then, as Exeron's just coming around into the bus stop chicane. Jill Silveran's just up ahead of him, as we can see here. Jill Silveran out of the bus stop and up towards the line. What is it going to be for him as he comes over the line, and he goes into third, so he gains half a second there. Exeron though gains 6/10 of a second and moves up into third place, so 4/10 covering the top four. But Shark Zulu, Diego, Exeron and Jill Silver in your top four. So Exeron and Jill Silver gaining a lot of time at the end of the session there. Error code there, only half a second off for the fastest time in fifth, so half a second covering the top five. It's a very close session indeed. It should bode well for a good race. Carmen Sar in sixth with Nath J Fletcher in seventh, followed by Luke Van der Streets in P8, followed by MCVDG in ninth, ahead of Carl Marley in P10. But here we go then, guys. We are moments away from the start of Season 4 here on ACC, on the PS5 here at Motive, for the GT3 Championship. Tier 2 out on the track here tonight before the Tier 1s will be on later on. For this season, we've got our full formation lap back on, which we haven't had for a long time before this season, because what I had done is, basically I'm complete and utter moron with using G Portal, and it's taken me 2 years to figure out how to do the settings properly that most leagues run. So those of you who would have tuned into Motive 2 or 3 years ago would have seen us doing ACC, and would have seen that we used to have a very sort of professional kind of setup with the servers and everything. And as soon as certain people left about 2 years ago, that was when it all kind of went a little bit peaked on. But as of very recently, I've trained myself. I've been very determined, with the popularity of Motive's ACC leagues really starting to skyrocket. I sort of said to myself, right, I've got to just stop being a complete and utter slapdash little idiot here. I've got to actually get my act together and start taking this seriously, because we've got people joining left, right and centre. We've got 20 people watching on our streams most of the time, most weeks. I've got to make this as professional as possible. So obviously I've learned how to use G Portal properly, learned how to configure the settings so that you can do multiple practice sessions and qualifying sessions, i.e. for the sprint nights on Wednesdays, but also having the full formation laps, as well as being able to set it to GT3 only. Many different things that I'd never really put the effort into understanding in the past. But thankfully we've got a little bit more of a proper looking kind of stream. We can introduce all the drivers as they take it around for a formation lap here at the beginning of the night. But Shark Azuli, they're taking pole position. I'm just going to quickly run and turn the light on, because it's getting quite dark in here at the moment. So I will literally be about 10 seconds. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Right, so sugar. Oops. My headphones there. It's going to switch to my not so good microphone in a while. Do you know what? I'm right now, because my controller is very low on battery, and oh god, my microphone's it's gonna die, isn't it? I know it. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's gonna die. I can feel it. Oh no. Okay, this is not good at all. Let's see if this fits. So the problem is, PS5 controllers and PS4 controllers have different things, so it's very difficult. Oh god, this is an absolute bummer. Right, hold on. I wonder if these might work, maybe. 1 second. Do you know what? These may actually work. No. use my really bad headphones because my microphone's absolute poo-poo. Oh, really annoying. Alright, audio check. Let's just check the audio, see what it's actually like. It sounds absolute garbage right now. Oh god. The problem is I don't want to use my head. Oh, I don't want to use my headphones. Oh. I don't have any other form of a jack to use. Audio check. Audio check. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to have to do for the audio for this first race for the Tier 2s here tonight. Unfortunately, my controller's running really low on battery and I want to just try and charge it up for a bit later on. So this is going to have to be, we're having to use our headphones rather than our studio mic. But here we are then, we're coming up towards the line. We are moments away from the start of Season 4 here on ACC at Motive on the PlayStation 5 for the GT3 Championship. We've got the Tier 2s currently out on track right now in front of us as we're coming through La Source and then out onto this little straight which leads down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. They will be turns 1 and 2 here for this one as we don't start the race until we're halfway down this little stretch. But we've got Sharka Zulu lining up on pole position for this one. With Diego alongside him, you've got Extra and Jill Silverman right behind them. A very close qualifying session, only half a second covering the top 5 drivers here. And it looks like we're green, racing now down towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. As you can see them all coming through your shot right there. It looks like it's very clean at the start. No dramas so far by the looks of it. If you come over Radion for the first time, yeah, everybody's got through unscathed here. So what a start from the drivers right now. As we can see, we've got Erico coming under pressure here from what looks to be Carmassar as we're coming down towards Lacombe. But he's defending the inside line for the time being in the background there. You've got side by side here between a couple of drivers, which I think might have been Luke Van der Streets and MCVDG. In fact, you've got Snoopy there who's just tucking in behind Carmody at the moment. As in the background there, you've almost got side by side there. I think that's the orange car, that's Remster there, who was trying to attack on the back of Spur Time. As we've got side by side here coming down towards Brussels, and there is Leximate making a move. Or was it Leximate? No, it wasn't. It was in fact, see, I don't know who any of the drivers are at the moment because we haven't got used to the liveries yet. It's the first round of the season here, but it's Sharkazu leading ahead of Diego, followed by Exeron in 3rd place. There's Erico ahead of Jill Silver and followed by Carmassar in 6th. You've got AJ Fletcher having a big slide there coming through Pouan, and he's going to lose out there. And who is that going around the outside of him? Actually, it's not the driver who's behind him on the leaderboard, so I don't know. But Carmassar is looking to the inside here of the number 7 of Luke Van der Streets. And Luke just tries to turn in on him, and there's contact there between the two of them. In the background, somebody going wide. I'm not quite sure who at the moment, but Carmassar manages to lose out there to Luke Van der Streets. Luke Van der Streets up into whatever position it is, because the timing board is not telling us anything right now, as it wouldn't, because they haven't reached the sector points. But Sharka Zulu leading the race. It's a very close battle out the front though. Diego, Exeron and Erico right there on the back of these guys. Jill Silverin as well within 2 seconds of the leaders right now. But here we come through Blanchemont for the for the first time here in this race. Down towards the bus stop chicane we go. It's Shark Azuli from Diego as Extron's looking on the back of Diego's looking to the inside of Shark Azuli, goes deep into the bus stop chicane. Shark Azuli's going to get the cut back here coming out of the bus stop and holds on to the lead. But Diego there going for a very, very ambitious move indeed, and it did not pay off at all. He might lose out to Jill Silver and down to P5. In fact, I think he's just about going to hold on here in 4th place. But Exteron here is trying to keep Aerocoat behind him right now as they're coming through turn 1. But Diego there taking a bit of a gamble, trying to send one up the inside into the bus stop chicane, and it didn't quite pay off for him, sadly. But a long way to go, and plenty of time in this race for him to make up for that little blemish there. But in the meantime, it's still Shark Azuli leading the race by just over half a second here ahead of Exeron, as you've got Aerocode here, who I think was defending a move. No, in fact, what's happened to Aerocode? What's happened to Aerocode? He's dropped way down the order here. It's Aerocode down to 9th, 11th, 12th place. Where is he? What's happened here? Aerocode's had a nightmare. He did the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap. He's now in 13th place, so I don't know what's gone on there with him. But yeah, he's way down the order. In the meantime, Shark Azuli and Exteron out the front. Diego's dropped off at the back of him a little bit. I think that maybe he was behind Aerocode, and obviously he hasn't managed to bridge that gap that's in front of him just yet. Jill Silverin has lost out to Nath, actually. Is Nath in 3rd now? I think he might be, you know. No, Nath is in 4th, I believe, ahead of Jill Silverin. So I don't know what happened to Jill Silverin there, but Nath is now... No, hold on. No, he's behind. No, Nath is behind. No. Oh, God, I don't know. The thing is, the problem is, and I'll tell you what the problem is, and honestly, this is not my fault. You can see quite clearly that the numbers on the left side of your screen are different from the actual numbers on the cars. So it says that Nath is in a number 3 Audi. That's actually that's a massive lie. If you actually look at him, he's not even driving an Audi, he's driving a BMW. He's driving in a number 99 BMW, so it's quite bizarre, really, that it says on the screen that he's driving a number 3 BMW, because that is just a complete and utter downright lie. There's no factual, it's not factual at all. There is literally no truth to it whatsoever. But extra on right on the back of Shark Azuli, Diego there in 3rd ahead of Nathan Luca, battling out over 4th and 5th places. There's Jill Silverin, as we've got Carl Marley attacking to the outside of Carmissar, coming into the bus stop chicane, but Carmissar holding on to that position for the time being. In fact, where's he gone there? He's gone into the pits. So Carmissar making a very early pit stop here to get his mandatory done and out of the way. Shark Azuli and Exteron still out the front. There's Diego in 3rd ahead of Nath, followed by Luke van der Streets and Jill Silverin. Carl Marley there running in 7th place ahead of Snoopy, followed by Fierce Mars. You've got MCVDG there running in P10 a little way ahead of Day 666. Carmissar there going through the pit lane at the end of lap 3, so a very early pit stop, but could it pay off for him a little bit later on? We'll have to wait and see how it all goes. In the meantime, we've got Aerocode in the pits as well as Russ the Rebel, so 3 drivers here coming in at the end of lap 3, getting their pit stops done and out of the way very early on. Shark Azuli and Exteron still out the front. They've got about a second and a half back to Diego running in 3rd place. There's Nathan Luke with Jill Silverin right on the back of him as well. But coming down the Kemmel Straight here on the 3rd laps of the race. It was actually the end of lap 2 that Carmissar, Aerocode and Russ Rebel will come in, not the end of lap 3. I can't count at the moment. I don't know what's going on with me, but yeah, bit of a mare there, I've got to say, from myself. But nonetheless, an interesting start here at Spa for the Tier 2s here for the GT3 Championship here at Motive for Season 4 on the PlayStation 5. Currently, Shark Azuli still out in front, has a slender lead at the moment over Exeron. You've got Diego there running in 3rd place ahead of Nath. Luke van der Streets there in P5, still with Jill Silverin on the back of him at the moment. There's a battle going on right now between a funny looking guy and Chris. Or in fact, is that still going on? In fact, no. A funny looking guy is now at least a corner, if not 2 ahead of Chris. So what's happened here to Chris? He's now behind Leximate, Toonday, and yeah, he's behind Remster as well. So yeah, Chris is down to 18th place, I think, on the screen. It hasn't actually updated the timing screen yet, but I think he is in 18th place at this point. Once that timing screen updates, that should show up. But yeah, I don't know what's happened there to him. Must have been a mistake coming to the first sector there. But in the meantime, Diego's really closed up onto the back of Exeron and Shark Azuli. I don't know if these two made a mistake, but Shark Azuli has actually lost out to Exeron. So Exeron is now your new race leader as we're coming through Blanchimont. And Shark Azuli's got to keep his wits about him here because Diego's looking pretty racy as they come down towards the bus stop chicane. He's going to look to the inside here, coming into the corner. For the time being, Shark Azuli's still got the measure of him at the moment. But it's a real battle out the front between these three. What a show they're putting on, and Exeron now with the lead of the race, having managed to nab it off of Shaka Zulu there on that previous lap. We've got a few comments coming in here on the stream right now. You got Scooter Paul says, evening races, good luck to everyone. See you guys for the Tier 1 race later on. Yeah, Paul will be out on track for that one. Looking forward to seeing how you get on this season, mate. We've got Tony's okay saying good audio. Good luck to all the races. Hope for a good race, says Awesome Gumball. Definitely so. Awesome Gumball also will be with us later on for the Tier 1. He'll be out on track for that one. We've also got Andrew there saying, you want a charge of a PS5? I've got one, so I could do with a second one. To be honest, I could easily go and buy one. But I just can't plan ahead. It's quite difficult to plan things in advance. But Luke Van der Street's here looking to the outside here, and Nate coming into Lukum, but he can't get it around him for the moment. Nate is just holding his ground there on the inside. Tony's okay, so same mandatory pit stops as last season, right? Yeah, absolutely, exactly the same. And he says, let's go Exeron. Kangi says, like button smashed, mate. Great race so far. Indeed it is, and it's still continuing on right now between Exeron and Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu, though, coming under heavy pressure here from Diego, as Diego's trying to get himself in the middle of these two here, but they are pulling away from Nathan and Luke Van der Streets at the moment, as Jill Silverin seems to have gained a little bit on these two, coming through the middle sector so far on this lap. Lap 4 here of the Tier 2 race for the GT3 Championship here at Motive, round 1 of Season 4, and the battle at the front is still raging on here between Exeron, Shaka Zulu and Diego. As we're coming through the middle part of the lap, you can see there's Diego looking down the inside, and there's a bit of contact there, and he comes off worse onto the grass there. There's Diego. It was a speculative move, and Shaka Zulu was saying, don't even think about it, Diego. You're never going to get that one done. And turned into the corner. He wasn't ahead. Shaka Zulu was ahead around the outside and had the right to maybe just sort of discourage him there. But nonetheless, no harm done. And in fact, it was Exeron. Sorry, it was Exeron, because Shaka Zulu is the one leading the race. So I do apologise. Once again, I do apologise, because the this screen is a bit misleading. Having said that, Shaka Zulu is undoubtedly in an Audi. I can't really get away with that one. Yeah, nonetheless, it was Exeron and Diego that had the contact there. As Diego looking to the inside here into the bus stop. Exeron goes a little bit deep, but can Diego get around him here? I think he's going to be able to keep the momentum there, but no, Exeron there holding on to second place for the time being. Nate J. Fletcher and Luke Van der Street still battling over 4th and 5th places at the moment, with Jill Silverin right on the back of them. You've got Carl Marley in the background there, running in 7th place. He's a little way clear of Snoopy, who's got Fierce Mars pretty close to him as well. But it's all go here in the opening few laps at Spa, and it's currently Shaka Zulu out in front ahead of Exeron, and Diego there not too far away at the moment. So still all to play for here in the still relatively early stage of this race. We're 10 minutes into the Tier 2 race here tonight. Luke Van der Streets is trying to put the pressure here on Nate J. Fletcher's. They're coming down the Kemmel Straight. Jill Silverin still right with them as well. Fierce Mars within a second of Snoopy, that's one to watch. Battle for P10 also looking pretty hot, as MCVDG's trying to attack on the back of Day 666 as they're coming out of Radion down the Kemmel Straight. But you can see that MCVDG's got a bit of damage there on that car, and potentially that's going to be affecting his performance. Well, undoubtedly, I'd say. But yeah, MCVDG, one of the drivers, he's in a BMW. You can quite clearly see he's driving a BMW, but for some goodness knows what reason, it says on the graphic that he's driving in an Audi. So yeah, very strange. Something's going on tonight with the BMWs. They're showing up as Audis on the screen. I don't quite know what's gone on there, but MCVDG nonetheless has made the move there on Day down the inside of Brussels, and he's got himself up into P10 there. So nice move from MCVDG into some clean air. You've got Spur Time there, who's got a funny looking guy on the back of him as they're coming down towards Pouan. But nothing doing, no changes there between those two for now. Checking the audio, making sure it's all good, as we've got a funny looking guy here looking down the inside. He's making a move there on Spur Time, and he's done it into Stavolo. So a funny looking guy there moving through up into P12 as he just looked to catch him off guard a little bit there. Spur Time saw him coming in the end and gave him the space. Was very, very courteous there, Spur Time. A little bit too polite, I reckon. It could have maybe just put a funny looking guy off a little bit, but saying that, if you think that the driver's behind you is too quick or quicker than you, sometimes you're just in a position where it's like live to fight another day kind of thing. As we can see here, we've got oh, what's going on? Day looking to the inside here into the bus stop here on MCVDG. MCVDG just holding his ground. Dave's going to try and get a cut back here, coming out onto the start finish straight. They're going to be side by side here, but MCVDG will have the inside and actually got a better exit out of the final corner. A funny looking guy looking to try and get involved in this as well. Dave looking to the inside, MCVDG cutting him off there and moving in the braking zone, and MCVDG goes into the wall. And I have to say, if I'm going to apportion blame there, I don't think Dave was in any way at fault for that one. MCVDG definitely moved quite a few times. That was excessive weaving, and I believe he moved in the braking zone as well. Day continues on his way, rightly so in my opinion. A funny looking guy there, and Day side by side into Eau Rouge, but a funny looking guy stays ahead for the time being, and Day continuing on his way. These guys have got spur time right on the back of them now as they're coming out onto the Campbell Straight. You can see we're going to be 3 wide here, coming all the way down towards the Combe. Who's going to come out on top in this one? You can see their spur time looking to the inside. It's going to mug both of them there into the Combe. Great stuff there from spur time, as the funny looking guy tucks in behind, loses a place to both of them, and Day in that sandwich between them still as they come through in towards the right hander. But funny looking guy, they're getting ahead of Day, coming through the Combe and back up into 11th place there for him. But absolute drama there. MCVDG into the pits after that little collision there with Day, which I don't believe Day was really at fault for. I think that MCVDG definitely didn't need to move into the braking zone the way that he did there. Luke Van der Street still attacking on the back of Nath as they come into campus here, but can't get ahead of him still. Jill Silverham right there on the back of these guys as well. But absolutely frenetic action here in the opening 6 laps of the Tier 2 race here for the GT3 Championship at Motive, and it's currently still Shaka Zulu who has the lead by just under a second right now ahead of Diego. Exteron still right there on the back of them. You've got Nath and Luke and Jill Silver in the background there, running in 4th, 5th and 6th places. They've got a bit of a gap back to Carl, who's running in 7th place. He's way ahead of Snoopy, running in 8th. Then you've got Fierce Mars there, who's sat in 9th place at the moment. And Spur Time has got is now clear of Day. So what's happened here to... No, hold on, no. Sorry, Day's running by himself in P10. And Spur Time has made a mistake here. And so I think Spur Time and the Flanagan guy might have had a collision here, because Flanagan guy's dropped by 2 seconds behind Day. And yeah, so something strange has happened there by the looks of it. Yeah, something's not quite right there. Right, yeah, bit unusual there. So something I think has happened between those two in the meantime. Lexi May trying to get onto the back of Huntington Guy. Huntington Guy's got damage on his car, we know that, so that could be costing him a bit of performance at this point. How come not showing people with the mandatory pit stop to do? That's a very good point. Oh, for God's sake. Oh, there's just... Oh my God. And now I'm really pissed off. I'm really pissed off right now. It's ruined my night, that has. Alright, I've calmed down now. I'm really annoyed at myself. The fact that I forgot to do the mandatory pit. But it is what it is, it's done now. So 7 people have already done it. Tunde, Rusta, MCBDG, Arrowcode, Exeron, Karmasar and Day have all been into the pits to do their stops. Diego's got a bit of a lead here right now over Sharka Zulu. He's got quite a considerable gap now actually. So I don't know if Sharka Zulu's made a few mistakes. Luke Van der Street has picked up a drive-through penalty, which he's got to do within 3 laps of getting that penalty, so that will be coming up pretty soon. I would imagine he's just dropped to over a second now behind Nath J. Fletch, and he's got Joel Silvering continuing to reel him in. Lexi, mate, on the back of Funny Looking Guy at the moment. You can see that these two coming down towards Brussels at this point. Day and Tunde right in the pits at this moment in time. Those two I've already ticked off my list. So 7 drivers have been into the pits to do a stop already. Everybody knows the rules, you know, most of the guys here are returning drivers. Those who aren't have watched the streams. You know, we should all know, I think, that there is a mandatory pit in these races. I know that it's not showing up on the screen. I know that people aren't getting reminders to do it, but everyone knows the score with these pit stops. If you're listening to the stream, those of you who might not be sure, you must still come and do that pit stop, because plenty of people will be doing it, so there's no excuse. You know, the fact that everyone else is doing one should be enough of a hint that you're supposed to do one. So, you know, there's no excuses. Alright, everyone's got to do it. But yeah, Diego currently out in front, still leading the race as he completes lap 10. Jill Silverin still on the back of Luke Van der Streets here in this battle for 4th and 5th places. You can see actually Luke Van der Streets coming into the pits to do his drive-through now, so that's going to put an end to that battle for the time being. But Diego leads the race by just over 6 seconds here ahead of Sharka Zulu, and you've got Nath running in 3rd place right now, a little way behind them. Jill Silverin a little way off the back of Nath. Carl Mardy there running in P5 at the moment. He's 6 seconds behind Jill Silverin. Lexi Mate's still close on the back of a Funny Looking Guy. As we can see these guys coming on the exit of the source. These two have been running quite close for a while. Obviously a Funny Looking Guy has got damage on his car, which will be affecting his performance a little bit at this point. Can he get the run out of Radion nonetheless and have a bit of a chance coming down the Kemmel Straight into Lacombe? Next make a bit wide, they're coming through Brussels, and that's just lost him a bit of time here. So Funny Looking Guy got a bit of a hesitation as he went to the corner. There's another car behind Lexi Mate here, I think. Can't see at speed who it is. Might be Aerocode. Yeah, it is Aerocode. Though he's just trying to unlap himself at the moment. That could get a bit sketchy. As Lexi Mate wide, they're coming through Coulmont, and that's given Aerocode a bit of clear air here. So Lexi Mate really struggling. Looks like he might have some suspension damage there potentially, which is costing him a lot of performance. As we can see, Tunde coming back into the pits here for a stop-go penalty. So this tonight has not gone well at all for him, we've got to say. In the meantime, it's Diego still out in front by just under 6 seconds at the moment ahead of Sharka Zulu. Sharka Zulu was actually leading in the early stages, but then Diego got ahead of him, and those two were actually swapping positions a little bit at the start, but Sharka Zulu made a mistake which just dropped him a little bit off of the back of Diego for the time being. My controller's at 2 bars of charge now, so I reckon we can probably risk putting our studio mic on now. So let's do it. So here we are then, guys. We're on lap 12 of the GT3 Championship Tier 2 here for round 1 at Motive. It's currently Diego leading the race. Jacques is taking a couple of tenths out of him, on that last lap. The gap down to 5.7. It was over 6 on the previous lap. So Sharkazoo is keeping Diego on his toes just at the moment. Nathan J. Fletch running in third place there ahead of Jill Silver, and Fierce Mars is just over a second right now off of the back of Snoopy. Nath has got just over 2 seconds to Jill Silver at the moment. We've seen a few drivers come into the pits, which has kind of taken away from the battles that we've been seeing in parts. So Luke has been in, and so has Exeron. And Roster coming back into the pits again here, so I don't know what has gone on with him. But drivers still to pit in this race: Diego, Sharkazulu, Nath J. Fletch, Jill Silverin, Carl Marley, Snoopy, Fierce Mars, a funny looking guy, Lexi Mate, Remster, Spur Time, Bolito, and Chris. And everybody else has been in, including Luke van der Streeks. But guys, I just want to apologise for the silence that we had for quite a big chunk of this race. Basically, I hadn't set the mandatory pit for this race. I don't know how I forgot to do it, if I'm honest. I think I've been going with the same settings. As I said earlier, I've been playing around with the G Portal settings, and I actually started out with basically an entire reset of settings, and somehow missed out the bit with the pit, and also the pit window as well. Sorted out for tier 1 during that brief radio silence that we had, so that won't be an issue now for tier 1, but it's really annoying because now I'm going to check everyone off on a piece of paper when, you know, I want to be enjoying the racing. I want to be sort of, you know, really getting into the action, and instead I'm sat here having to write down all the names that have been into the pits. So 10 drivers are currently been in so far already, but that means that 10 are still to come in, and we've got Spur Time now in, so that's now 11 drivers having been in, and that means that 9 still need to come in. In fact, no, 8 need to come in. Yeah. So another 8 drivers still need to come in and make their pit stops. So Carl and Spur Time both coming in here at the end of lap 12. Lexi Mate currently is on the back of a funny looking guy, as these two running within a second of each other right now in this battle for 7th place. Andrew saying, "Soz man, no, don't be sorry. I'm glad that you pointed it out, because I wouldn't have even been clocking on to the drivers that have been and who hadn't if you hadn't have said that. So I appreciate it. I'm more just annoyed at myself. I don't know how I've managed to do this. It really is very frustrating indeed for me, and not for anybody else." But Lexi Mate here still keeping a funny looking guy on his toes. We've got Sharkazoo now into the pits. He becomes the next driver there to come in. So that means we've got 7 drivers that still need to come in and make their pit stops in this race. Oh, that doesn't add up. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. No. Hold on. Wait. Oh, right. Some of the drivers that... a couple of drivers that I've ticked off have left the session, so that's why it doesn't add up. Right. So yeah, it should work out by the time we get to the end. Fierce Mars and Lexi Mate also now coming in. So we can tick them off as well. So it's currently Diego, Nath, Jill Silverin, Snoopy, a funny looking guy, and Remster, as well as Bolito, and Chris that still have to come in. And everybody else so far has now been into the pits to make their pit stop here in this race. But it's currently Diego leading here out of front on lap 14. He's just about to put a lap on some traffic here, which would appear to be the McLaren of the number 6 of Exeron. So what on earth happened to Exeron in the pits? Because he was battling over the lead with well, he was in the mix with Diego and Shaka Zulu, so I don't know what's happened to Exeron in the pits, but he is now a lap down, almost a lap down should I say, as race leader Diego into the pits. So that's another driver now we can tick off our list as having come in and done that pit stop. So he is now in. Chris is also in, so he's another driver we can now tick off. The thing is, everybody should have done a pit strategy because everybody knows it's a mandatory pit stop race, so everybody should have already had a pit strategy ready, so there is absolutely no excuse for not doing it. So I'm pretty sure everybody will do it, and obviously everyone's going to see that every other driver's doing it as well, so it will be quite obvious, I think. But we just see the number 7 car there of Luke van der Streets. Timing board again is telling us that certain drivers are in completely different numbers from what they are. Basically, you can see quite clearly that it's actually a huge lie what you've got on the screen there, because you've got Luke van der Streets, it says number 4 Audi. If you look at the car, that is actually a BMW and it's number 7. So if you look at this, you can actually see that it is actually a lie. Oh, he's got a stop go penalty as well, and so is Fierce Mars, and so is Ruster Rebel. So a lot of drivers here picking up stop go penalties whilst in the pits to serve their drive-throughs. We can see here Diego in the pits now, so obviously he was the race leader before. We already knew he was in the pits. A fun looking guy also coming into the pits here, so he's getting his pit stop done and out of the way. It looks like we've lost Luke van der Streets here, so unfortunately he is retired from the race, which is a huge shame for him, as we're only just over halfway through the race here, so it's going to be gutting there for him. Diego's now coming out of the pits. Where is Shaka Zulu? Shaka Zulu wasn't too far away from him, actually, before the pit window. Diego's now coming up over Radion, and Shaka Zulu's just coming up towards Eau Rouge, so Diego is well clear of Shaka Zulu, and he's in some absolute daylight here. And he must be thinking that he's got this one in the bag at this point, I'm sure, because Diego nobody's anywhere, unless Shaka Zulu maybe changed tyres. Possibly Diego hasn't changed tyres, which means that Shaka Zulu would theoretically have much better pace in the final part of this race, but the gap is 10 seconds between them. So this is going to have to be one that we're going to be watching. We're going to have to be keeping tabs on this over the next 25 minutes, because it could swing back in Shaka Zulu's favour if he's on fresh tyres compared to Diego's worn tyres. That is if that is the case. But he gained 10 seconds over the course of the pit window. I mean, the gap was already about 6, so maybe actually that's quite representative. Actually, thinking about it on reflection, I think that's probably about right, because he's only gained about 4 or 5 seconds, and that's possible if you have like a moment coming into the pit. So if you're slow into the box or something, you can easily lose 4 or 5 seconds. So actually, on reflection, I think that's probably a representative gap, and that they've both done exactly the same thing in the pit stop. Jill Silverine is now in here at the end of lap 15, and so is Remster as well. So those guys getting their pit stops done, and tick them off. So it's now just Nath, I think, that needs to come in, and that's it. Oh, Nath, Bolito, and that's it. Yeah, Nathan Bolito, only drivers that need to come into the pits. Bolito stopped here coming down towards Pouon, as we can see a Bentley there. I think that's the Leximate there moving through. Yeah, it would have to be, because there's only 2 Bentleys in the field. But yeah, Leximate moving through nonetheless. But Jill Silverine into the pits, Remster now coming in as well. And so those guys, those two, both getting their pit stops done and out of the way, which means it's just now the race leader Nath and Bolito, as I said before, who's still got to come in at some point over the next 20 odd minutes. But as and when they do is up to them. We've got Raki in the comments here saying, good evening all, welcome Raki. Always great to see Raki in the comments. Did race with us on Wednesday night in the PS5 Sprint League here on ACC, and he always chimes in, always says hello, and you've got to give him credit because he must have the motive racing streams. He must have alarms set for all of these streams because he never fails to turn up. We've got Diego here doing the fastest lap of the race so far. He's currently running in P2, but he will be the net race leader once Nath J. Fletch comes in. And that will obviously promote Sharkazulu up into second once all is said and done as well. Joel Silverman's out of the pits. He's coming down the Kemmel Straight. I think he's out in P3. Should be P3. Comfortably, yeah. He's well ahead of Carl Marley, who's running in what is 5th place now with Remster in the pits. Snoopy not too far behind Carl Marley. Exeron, I'll tell you what. It's what could have been here in this race. He was up there near the front in the beginning in the first stint, but things have kind of gone pear-shaped a little bit for him. Tony's okay there in the comments saying hi to Raki. But Nath still out the front right now, having still yet to make his mandatory pit stop here in this Tier 2 race tonight. Exeron is still on the back of Snoopy, still putting some pressure on him in his battle for P6. Spur time very close on Bolito at the moment. Bolito actually riding over the sleeping policeman there as they came through Lacombe. But spur time's not close enough to capitalise on that just yet. A funny looking guy is now closing up onto the back of these guys as well here as we come down towards Brussels. Bolito's got the measure at the moment, parking his car in the right places, not allowing any gaps to form, and a funny looking guy squeezed through here ahead of spur time, so he's just catching spur time. Oh god, and spur time's got into the side of him and tags him in the rear. Into the wall goes a funny looking guy. Spur time might have to take responsibility for that one. He was a late move there going into no name, and a funny looking guy is going to have big damage, and he's going to be in huge trouble here in this one. He's going to have a very, very wounded car indeed. Spur time there continuing on his merry way, and a funny looking guy will have every right to be a little bit upset with that one, I think. Wow, I mean that was a little bit uncalled for. A bit strange there. From my angle it looked like a late move. Maybe from the onboard it's a different story. Again, I don't want to jump to conclusions now. I'm taking back what I said because I don't want to jump to conclusions, but didn't look great, I've got to say. Snoopy's still on the back of Carl Marley here as these two running in P5 and 6. That'll be P4 and 5. I think when Nath comes in, although having said that, yeah, no, it will be. Almost definitely, yeah. Such a long pit lane here at Spa, you lose about a minute and a half just by driving through the pits. If you do any work on a car, you lose about 2 minutes. But Carl's still ahead of Snoopy and Exeron at the moment. Exeron's just dropped off for these guys a little bit over the course of this lap so far. You can see Carl and Snoopy here just coming through the corner after Lacombe, down the hill towards Brussels, and Snoopy just a little bit too far away off the back of Carl at this point. As we see the number 32 car, Ruster Evil, has come in for, I think, about his 17th pit stop here in this race. He's not had the race at all here tonight, has to be said. As you can see here, Snoopy getting a bit of a run here on Carl. Carl leaves him the space on the inside coming into campus, and Snoopy there making a move down the inside. Beautifully done there from Snoopy. Up into P5. Now he can focus his attention ahead, but he's got a long way up the road if he wants to get anywhere near Joel Silverman. But good move there from Snoopy nonetheless to get up into P5 as he's now on the back of Day here. Obviously Day is a lap down on him. He's also got... who is that in front of him? on number 30. Oh, it's... Yeah, so only got him just behind him there, but oh, what a race! What a race! Funny we can go coming back into the pits again, so that's his second stop, I think, at least. So just to remind everybody, Nath J. Fletch still needs to come into the pits, and so does Bolito. Those two are the only drivers who haven't yet been in here in this race. Snoopy's still got Carl Marley on the back of him here, as these guys have got some traffic in the midst of them right now. Exron right there behind them, as we can see. There is Rust the Rebel moving well out of the way. No, it's not Rust the Rebel. It's Chris. So Chris there moving aside for these guys, Snoopy, Carl and Exron, who are able to continue their battle coming down the Campbell Straight. There is Snoopy, there is Carl, and there is Exron. Oh, was Extra on there getting sideways, going through Brussels onto the grass a little bit, and he might be about to be unlapped by one of the lap cars here. You can see in the background somebody, I can't see who it is because the number's moving too quickly, but Extra on there living dangerously. Nonetheless, as they came through Brussels, he's now dropped away well off of the battle here between Snoopy and Carl, who, to be fair, Carl's dropped off at the back of Snoopy now as well. So that's not really much of a battle going on between those guys anymore. Set up for one offset again. Nath J. Fletch needs to come into the pits at some point between now and the end of the race, but when he does, it's up to him as long as it's before the last lap. So Nathan, Bolito, the only drivers that need to come in still here in this race. We see Diego coming back into the pits here, so what's going on with Diego? An impromptu stop for him. Did he crash maybe? I think he might have crashed because he's spawned into the pits. He hasn't driven into the pits. Shaka Zulu still going, so Diego here. Wow, this is absolutely huge because Diego was in the net race lead. He is now, by the looks of it, out of the race. And that's going to give Shaka Zulu the net race lead, so he's had this one handed on a plate to him here. Shaka Zulu will take the lead once Nate comes in and makes his pit stop. So this is absolutely huge in terms of developments here. Diego's now off the jacks by the looks of it, and will be off and away in a moment. But he's going to be tumbling down the leaderboard here. Oh no, you've got to feel for Diego because this would have been his first ever win here at Motive if he'd been able to see this one out. But it's all gone up in smoke here for our man in the number 15 Ferrari. Showing up on our timing board as being in the number 9 Audi, but that is, I said earlier on, there's actually a lie. If you look and open your eyes, you can actually see that it's a blatant lie. But yeah. But extra on here, right on the back of Carl Marley as they're coming out of the coming into the final sector here. These two having a good little scud up here, but Diego here in the pits nonetheless, and he's still sat there, so he's not going to be moving anytime soon by the looks of it. Got a feel for Diego here because he was on course for a race victory, but with his demise, it's going to hand the win to Shaka Zulu. And Shaka Zulu, to be fair, in terms of the performance from him this week, he's had a good week. He got a podium on Wednesday night in the GT3 Sprint League, and obviously there's only one tier for that, so he got to battle with some tier 1 caliber drivers here for that one, and he managed to finish on the podium, so we knew he'd be a contender here in tier 2s here on a Sunday night, and he's duly gone about his business and is on course for a race win as things stand. But who knows, it could be a bit of a poison chalice, the net race lead spot at this point. Second place net race lead, hopefully it isn't, don't want to tempt fate or anything. As we can see, Carl and Exeron still pretty close here as they're coming out onto the Camel Straight once again. That's Carl here looking to the outside on Exeron, should I say. But Exeron covers the inside and holds him off for the time being, coming through Lacombe. Noting on the timing screen, we've got Remster here closing up a little bit onto the back of Spur Time. These guys running in 8th and 9th places. Also Bolito within a second of Aerocode, but actually Aerocode's got ahead of Bolito, so that's a move that Aerocode has gone and made. And Bolito, as I said before, still needs to come into the pits as well, so it's Nathan Bolito who still need to come in. Otherwise they will face the wrath of the stewards for their indiscretions. Nate there, a bit of a slide as they came through Brussels. Keeps it on the track just about though. So here we come and down towards the bus stop chicane. You can see Ramsey looking to the inside here on Spur Time, but Spur Time's just got enough coming into the braking zone as they're just coming up on what looks to be a back marker there. But they both come through nonetheless, and Remster still just trying to apply this pressure here, trying to force Spur Time into a mistake, but Spur Time currently not giving him anything to go on. Got 10 minutes left here in this Tier 2 race for the opening round of the season here at Spa. As we see the race leader, Nath J. Fletch, is finally coming in here at the end of lap 20, what is it for him? End of lap 21. So at long last here, the race leader comes in. That will most likely promote Shaka Zulu into pits, unless Nate's been living under the radar here, because I tell you what, he was only about maybe 10 seconds off the lead. I mean, technically, if he's done a no tyre change, like full tank strategy here, potentially this could be a chance for Nath to steal the march on his rivals here, but I don't think that's the case. I believe Shaka Zulu is the net race leader. That's how I have it down anyway. Yeah, Nath's only just coming into the second part of the pit lane now, and Shaka Zulu's coming into the bus stop, so I think that Shaka Zulu should come out ahead of Nath, although saying that, it might be closer than it could be, quite close. I don't think that Nate's going to get the jump, but let's see. He shouldn't be too long in that box because he's not going to need to do any work on the car. Shaka Zulu coming into the source. Oh, Nate's taking far too long in that box. Is he moved off of the jacks yet? There he goes, but Shaka Zulu's already coming down over the de facto start finish line. Nath is just coming to the end of the pit lane, so there is Shaka Zulu just going through El Rouge and Radion. Nath not too far behind, and he will actually come out ahead of Jules Silver in here, so Nath will come out in P2, whereas Jules Silver, and he's just coming out over Radion now, so There we go then. Nath comes out in P2. And Sharka Zulu, your leader. There's Nathan. There is Jill Silverman, who's just managed to put a lap there on one of the other back markers. So this could be battle on here for second and third then, with Nathan and Jill Silverman currently running quite close. So he's okay singing the praises of Jill Silverman there, saying he's kept out of trouble and he's got a podium for it. Absolutely. It could even be a P2 here if he's aggressive and gets a move on. Nath will still have quite cold tyres at this point. It'll take him about a lap to get those up to temperature, so Jill Silverman could try and capitalise on this here. As you can see him really trying to ramp it up here on the back of Nath. So he's coming down towards campus. They've got a bit of traffic here. Gets well out of the way of the traffic, so no dramas. That's the BMW, I think, of Ruster Rebel. No, in fact, it's actually Fierce Mars. So again, it shows up on the screen as being in a number 2 Audi. It's actually the number 10 BMW. So yeah, a very, very strange situation, I've got to say. But it is what it is, isn't it? But yeah, here they come anyway. Nathan, Jill Silverman through Blanchimont. And down towards the bus stop they come again. There's Jill Silverman looking to the outside here, coming into the bus stop. Nate's going to cover that inside line. Nothing doing for the time being. So here we go then, Jill Silverman looking to the outside. He's got a bit of a run here on Nath J. Fletcher's. They're side by side into Eau Rouge, and Nath just hanging on there by the skin of his teeth. Jill Silverman had a bit of a run but couldn't quite get there in time. That was going to be an aircraft crash if those two came together through there. As we come out onto the Kemmel Straight once again, as Jill Silverman had to back out and lost some momentum coming up the hill. That's allowed Nath J. Fletcher just a little bit of a cushion here into Lacombe. And Nath's still running in P2 at the moment, just about. In the meantime, I'm looking at the timing board because Error Code has got Leximate really close on the back of him. In fact, has Leximate got ahead of him here? I think he might have. No. Oh, Leximate's made a mistake because he's now well behind Error Code, so must have been it whilst trying to attack on the back of Error Code. Error Code's now a good 3 or 4 seconds ahead of him on the track. So that looks like that's that battle done. Nathan, Jill Silverman battling here, coming down towards Poole, and here goes Jill Silverman. He got a much better run there, coming out of no name down the inside goes Jill Silverman. Nate gives a bit of a tap in the rear coming through Poole. They both go wide there onto the marbles, but Jill Silverman's got that one done up into second place, and Tony's okay. You were saying how well he's done in this race to get himself into third, keeping out of trouble. He's now running in P2 in the closing stage of this race. What a drive from Jill Silverman here tonight in this season opener. Could he be a contender maybe for a promotion spot? I certainly wouldn't count him out of it. He's really putting on a very strong performance here tonight. And yeah, P2 here for Jill Silverman in this race as he goes a bit wide there coming into the final sector. But he's got enough momentum here to stay ahead of Nath coming through this final part of the lap. A good little battle between these guys. Can Nath mount a challenge? Can he mount a counter and try and come back at him here? As Sharka Zulu comes over the line to start what is going to be the penultimate lap of this race. And there are these two squabbling. Oh, and Jill Silverman gets it wrong coming out of the bus stop. And that's going to give Nath the position back again. Nath says, thank you very much, Jill Silverman. You might have had that given to you, but you've gone and you've lost it. And Nath there back up into second place. Jill Silverman only about a second off the back of him, to be fair. It's not a huge gap actually, despite that mistake. So Jill Silverman could potentially still be within striking distance to mount a challenge in these final 2 laps of the race. We're certainly not out of time yet. But Spur Time and Error Code here running in 8th and 9th places. You can see Error Code trying to attack on the back of Spur Time coming into campus, but just too far away at the moment. Coming through Stavelot. But he's just trying to keep Spur Time on his toes. Trying to force him into a mistake if he can. what is going on there with error code. I tell you what, he was extremely wide there coming through Blanchimont. Does he have a bit of suspension damage maybe? That looks like it could be suspension damage causing that. See how he goes through here. He's got a little bit of understeer. I reckon error code might have some suspension damage here because he seems to be struggling at this stage. That does not look like it's a pleasure to drive at all. In the meantime, Jules Silverman still on the back of Nath as they're coming through Paul. And here we come down towards campus now. You've got Nath defending the inside line. Jules Silverman trying to go around the outside. Can't get a cut back there. Nath managing to keep it more or less on the racing line there. But Jules Silverman, we've seen him make the move once, but then we lost it coming out of the final chicane after he'd made the move. So he's made it, lost it. Can he make it again and hold it on to it this time? They're both wide out of that corner again. Every lap we see both of them struggling through there. Nath is feeling the pressure here, says Totally Zero okay. I think he is going to be feeling the pressure, but we saw Jules Silverman also definitely cracking a little bit. So here we come down towards the bus stop chicane. Jules Silverman looking to the outside. Nath's going to cover the inside line off. Shark Azuli, the race leader, started the final lap. Here we go. There we go. There's the move around the outside there for Jules Silverman. He'll have the inside for the second part of the bus stop chicane. But Nath will be able to get a good run here coming out to the start finish straight. This is not over yet. Nath has the better run and has the inside for La Source. They're going to be side by side here coming down towards that hairpin. Nath is surely going to send one up the inside into the source as Jules Silverman trying to hold it around the outside. He's still there. He runs wide onto the curbs and Nath there takes it straight back into second. Great battle between these two. Nath J. Fletch holding on to second place by the skin of his teeth as they come down towards Eau Rouge once again for the final time here in this Tier 2 season opener. And Nath still ahead of Jules Silverman just about as they both cut Eau Rouge and Radion absolutely enormously there. Both in the same boat. Must have had a track limit warning to spare for both of them to be taking that kind of risk. But Jules Silverman here is going to look to the outside as Nath defends the inside beautifully. And there's no way around for Jules Silverman. Nath even giving Jules Silverman a bit of a tap out wide just to discourage him, just to be like, yeah, no, not happening, mate. Sorry, not in your wildest dreams. But Nath there keeping on to second place just about as we come down in towards Brussels. Has to cover him off. Jules Silverman was looking down the inside there, down the hill. But Nath still running in P2 at the moment, as we've got half a lap left to go here at Spa for the Tier 2s for the GT3s here at Motive Racing tonight. We've had an exciting first race to kick off the season, and I suppose the success story really in this one, Shark Azuli on his return to Motive on a Sunday in the GT3 Championship, had a very strong outing on Wednesday, managed a podium in the GT3 Sprint League here on ACC, and he's going to cap off a really strong week here with a victory in the Tier 2s. Was racing against some of the Tier 1 lads in the Sprint League on Wednesday, because obviously there's only one tier for that one, so everybody's together. And yeah, really impressed in that one. And tonight he's been absolutely superb. One man you've got to really feel for though, and I've said it before and I'll say it again because, you know, it's absolutely gutting there. Well, Exeron is one of them, because Exeron was up there, but Diego especially down in 14th place, was leading, was in the net race lead, and potentially would have come home and brought it home. But Shark Azuli nonetheless is the benefactor from Diego's nightmare here tonight as he comes over the line and he takes the checkered flag to take the first Tier 2 win of the season. Well done to Shark Azuli. What a drive from him. Really did capitalise and make the most of every opportunity that came his way. Nath is going to hold on here ahead of Jules Silverman for second place as they come over the line. Looked like there was a bit of a scrappy finish there. Flash the lights from both of them. Nath second, Jules Silverman over in third place. Good battle there between those two. Snoopy's coming out of the bus stop chicane. It's going to be a fourth place finish for him in the BMW as he comes up towards the line. A good showing there from Snoopy. Some great points there in the bag for him. Exeron's coming through the bus stop now, and he's going to bring it home in P5 in the McLaren as he comes up and over the line there. Carl Marley out of the bus stop here. P6 for him in the end. Fierce Mars has finished the race. He's finished in P12, a lap down. Diego's also finished a lap down in 13th. Day 666 classified in P14 in the end. Toonday 2 laps down in 16th. Ruster Rebel 2 laps down also in 17th. As Remster's coming out of the last corner and up towards the line, it's going to be P7 here for him. So Ruster Rebel's finished 5 laps down in the end, in 17th place. He's classified in P17. Spur time coming through the bus stop. It's going to be a P8 here for spur time. As here he comes up towards the line. A flash the lights there from spur time as well. I don't think Bolito pitted in the end, so he will be, I think he'll have to be a DQ, because it does say in the rules very clearly. Arico P's up P9. Leximate will come around to take a P10. And with Bolito, who's coming through Blanchimont for the final time, but he will be picking up a DQ, unfortunately, seeing as he didn't come in to do his pit stop. But here he comes into the final chicane, the bus stop chicane, and out and up towards the line for him. So Bolito P11 in the end, but that will be, unfortunately for him, a disqualification. So that is that then, ladies and gentlemen, for the Tier 2 race here. Stay tuned, we'll be back very, very shortly for Tier 1, the main event. That'll be live. Well, give us about 5 minutes. I'll be jumping in there straight away, but need to grab a drink after that, because that was breathtaking. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in a few moments' time.
Welcome back everybody. We're here for the Tier 1s for the GT3 Championship Automotive. Here tonight, the opening round of the season. We had a very exciting race in Tier 2 a few minutes ago, which finished off with Sharkazulu taking the opening win of the season. And we saw a great battle also between Nath and Jill Silvering go all the way down to the final lap for second place. We saw a very unfortunate chain of events for a few drivers there in the race, if I'm honest. Mainly Diego, who was in a net race lead position before ultimately having a crash and having to come in for damage repairs, which cost him a load of places and dropped him down to the mid-pack by the end of the race. But here we are for the Tier 1s, the first Tier 1 event of the season. We've got we're missing a few notable absentees, including Jazzman, also Matev, and also Max Power as well, not joining us for this season. But with their absences, we've got a lot of new drivers here for the Tier 1s this season. Here is one of them. That is our Tier 2 champion, Robe, who is currently at the top of the leaderboard by nearly 0.6 of a second. So he has jumped into the Tier 1s from Tier 2s and is currently showing them how it's done here. 2:18.4 currently is the fastest time in this session so far. Just for reference, you've got Tynus in the house, who was second in last season's championship. He is down in P10 at the moment and does not seem to be able to put a time on the board. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what he can muster up here, but it's a real shock to see Tynus as far down the order as he is right now. Awesome Gumball's gone up into second place with that lap there that he's just done, but Ludo currently out there at the moment in the Ferrari, just coming through into the final sector at this point. Henry just coming through Stavilo at the moment. You've got PS Vids, who's just coming out of the bus stop as he's currently sat in P5 in this session. Let's see what he can put on the board here. He does improve, but only by 1/10 of a second. No real changes there. Andrew just coming into the bus stop now. He's just over a second off of the fastest time being set by Robes. Here he comes up towards the line. What is this lap time going to be for Andrew as he comes over and can't improve still? What about Arlampa? He's coming up towards the line. Can he find a bit of time here? No, he stays in P7, can't improve. Let's keep an eye on Guido Christ here as he's coming into the bus stop. One of the other drivers who got promoted from Tier 2 last season. I think there's 7 drivers who were in Tier 2 who were in the league this season, I believe. Guido Christ comes over, stays in P10. Yeah, it was meant to be 6 promotion spots, but we promoted an extra driver because we were missing. Well, we needed to fill the spots basically. So we promoted Kangi as well, who was actually 7th in Tier 2 last season, but will be racing in Tier 1 for this season, which is obviously great. But it's currently Robe still setting the pace here
in this qualifying session has got quite a gap as well. PS Vid's a former champion of the GT3s here at Motive on ACC, and with Jazzman's absence and maybe the fact that he can make every round this season, could he potentially be up there in amongst it? He's in a car which I haven't seen him in before. He's driven in the Aston and the Bentley. He's now gone for the BMW, so a bit of a change of a car here for PS Vids, driving in his customary number 10, same livery as well, but he's obviously gone for a change of vehicle for this season. And can the BMW bring him any luck? Can it bring him back to his championship winning ways that we saw from 2 seasons ago? Currently 22 of you watching the stream. Guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing right now. As I said before, if you want to get involved, then be sure to go to www.motiveracing.com. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you're watching for the first time. Jill Silver in the comments saying, hello guys, good race for everyone, good transmission, Andy. Thank you very much, mate. We got PS Vids here coming into the bus stop chicane. What can you put on the board here? A track where I remember the last time we raced at Spa, he ended up, I think, last on the opening lap, and ended up managing to make his way up the field quite well actually. But he's gone P5. He's still P5, but he did find a tenth of a second there, so he improved his lap time very slightly, but not by enough to actually change his position. You've got the provisional pulses to Robe currently out there. Tynus has gone into 3rd place, so I think that's going to be the best that he can do, because he seems to have pulled over, so he's now done. Andrew's gone into P5. Ludo's gone into P3, pushes Tynus down a position, so lots of chopping and changing here at the end of this session. But Ludo not quick enough to topple Robe at the moment, but he's got within half a second of Robe's fastest time. So on this final lap, could we maybe be seeing Ludo finding that time and potentially knocking Robe off of that top spot here? We'll have to wait and see, as we are coming into the final stages of this qualifying session right now. But Robe, still your provisional pulse hitter. The Tier 2 champion from last season seems to have really taken to this Tier 1 like a duck to water here. So for some reason we're now on the helicopter cam. This is not really what I wanted, but it's now not letting me change, so we're going to have to stick with this until the end of the session here, so apologies for this, guys. Well, you know what, actually it's not too bad actually. You know what, I mean, you can kind of see a lot. You can see a lot, which is good. The downside is that I know, and I've got my sound turned off so I can't hear this personally, but I know for a fact that the helicopter is really loud, so it drowns out the commentary, and it also drowns out the cars as well, so it's quite difficult to, your brain kind of struggles to dissociate from the sounds. We're currently watching Ludo here coming through Pouan, and through in towards the middle part of the lap he goes. He's currently 3rd place, just over 4/10 of a second off for the fastest time being set by Robe. If he can't find half a second, maybe he'll be able to find half a tenth and move ahead of Awesome Gumball, who's currently sat in 2nd place at the moment. Can Ludo get himself on the front row here? Into Stavilo he goes. Caterpillar's improved his lap time by a little bit, but not by enough to change his position. He'll be P8 on the grid. Mary Louise is also out there on a lap and is a little way behind Ludo on the track, so we'll keep an eye out for Mary Louise. But here comes Ludo up towards Blanchimont here for the final time in this qualifying session. He seems to have stuck with it, which means he probably is on an improvement, because I wouldn't have thought he would have carried on if he wasn't. Into the bus stop chicane he comes. Can he absolutely nail it here? What is the time going to be? Ludo here out the last corner, needs 4.5 tenths to take pole position. What is it going to be as he comes up towards the line? It's P2, so he moves ahead of Awesome Gumball, finds 2/10 of a second there at the end of the session. What about Mary Louise? What's Mary Louise going to do here as he comes onto the power and up towards the line? Here comes Mary Louise over the line, and P16, so no change there. Audio is all good, Andy, even with helicam. Okay, alright then. I reckon we can stick with this then. I reckon it'll be alright. Cool, so Robe there taking pole position ahead of Ludo. Those two on the front row with Awesome Gumball and Tynus in the house on the 2nd row behind them. You've got Andrew and Henry in 5th and 6th, followed by PS Vids and Caterpillar. Then Arlampa and Kev Sim rounding out the top 10. Followed by them, you've got Guido Christ and Johnny Renwick with High Grade in 13th, Ella Capriglia, Kangi in P15 ahead of Mary Louise in 16th. Then you've got Epiphany 17th, Scooter Paul in 18th, Lowell 3000 down in 19th place with Yellow Army 20th, and Glenn rounding out the grid here in 21st place. But here we are then, guys, getting ready to go for the formation lap here at Motive for the GT3 Championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione here on the PlayStation 5. Tier 1, the main event of the evening. Tier 2s, we had a few technical difficulties which kind of marred it a little bit. I've managed to set up the server this time with the mandatory pit stop, and it should be a pit window which lasts for the entirety of the race as well. So fingers crossed that works the way that I want it to. But yeah, I've now set it up for tier 2. Actually, you know what? I need to do that right now. I'm going to do that right now so that it's there ready for me, so I don't have to remember it later. I'm actually going to set it up on tier 2 now, just so that it's already done, and then obviously I don't have to do it later on, because I don't want a repeat of this situation. I don't want the same situation to happen again next week. That would be extremely embarrassing indeed. It's bad enough happening once, but when you don't learn from your mistakes, you kind of just, you've got to just laugh at yourself really if you don't learn from your mistakes. But there we go. Alright, so I've now updated the tier 2 server, so that's actually set up now, albeit I haven't changed the track yet. But 23 of you currently watching the stream, guys, please do hit the like button if you are enjoying what you're seeing here tonight. We have got the tier 1s out on track. We're moments away from the start of round 1 for season 4 here at Motive on ACC. With Roby, the tier 2 champion from last season. He's taken to tier 1 very, very nicely indeed, putting it on pole position by nearly 0.3 of a second over Ludo. So by no means a fluke. He's got quite a gap at the front. Ludo ahead of Awesome Gumball. Titus in the house, last season second in the championship. Obviously without his big rival Jazzman this season, this could be a major opportunity here for Titus to take a championship. Took a couple of wins last season, but wasn't able to consistently outscore Jazzman. It's very difficult to do that because Jazzman is probably, I would say, in the top 5 best PS5 GT3 races on ACC. So yeah, it's not easy, but Titus in the house for sure gave it a good go. But this season it could be a close fight, I'd say, between Robe and Ludo. Awesome Gumball seems to have really come on leaps and bounds. You know, it could be anyone's championship. Consistency, I think, is going to be key this season. It's going to be about who can be scoring points every single week and not making mistakes. And I reckon that disconnections could really cause major problems. We've seen Titus in the house, his connection can sometimes come to bite him. So hopefully that doesn't rear its ugly head this time around. And yeah, we can see everybody getting fortune favouring them equally. But yeah, I want to say a big warm welcome to everybody currently tuning in live on the Motive Racing channel here tonight on YouTube. Lots of comments coming in. Raki there saying shout out to Glenn, GT and Scooter Paul and all races of course. Chris there saying cheers mate, wasn't able to but wasn't best race, but onwards and upwards as they say. Totally Zero K. Oh, I need to support Andrew too. Who else is he supporting? Totally Zero K saying he's supporting Guido, Chris, Robe and Andrew. Oh, and also Chris saying good luck Glenn and Scooter Pauls, you boys have got this. He says, Graki saying that the audio is all good, and Tony's okay saying my power is coming on soon, I'm going to switch to the PC to watch this. Yeah, but I reckon the audio is probably a bit better on the PC than what it is on the phone. I mean, I know because I've played, I mean my phone is, for some reason the audio on my phone is really, really, really bad. On my old phone, my iPhone 5 is better than my iPhone 7. I don't know why, but I play audio, I watch YouTube on my iPhone 5 and the audio is about 10 times better than what it is on the iPhone 7. Really, really bizarre. I don't quite know why that is. It makes no sense whatsoever, really. But I suppose it is what it is. But yeah, doesn't really make sense. But nonetheless, here we are. Anyway, we are coming round Campus Corner here on the formation lap. Robe here leading us around, the tier 2 champion from last season. What can he do at the beginning of this season? Can he get off to his tier 1 career on a can he get the perfect start here and bring it home from pole position, getting a pole and a win? Is Ludo going to be able to challenge him with being an experienced tier 1 racer? Maybe he can keep him under pressure here and force him to crack. Awesome Gumball as well is going to definitely be there fighting these guys all the way. It's going to be a great season. I'm telling you that now, it's going to be close. It's going to be interesting also to watch Tynus coming back through, because Tynus in P4, he's always got good race pace. So Tynus in the house, definitely I think is going to be potentially, he could be the thorn in the side for Robe as well here tonight. Tynus in the house, definitely going to be one to watch from P4. We know on his day he can even challenge drivers like Jazzman. Miss you, Andy. You okay, lad? Says Matthew Cuthbertson. Yeah, mate. Good to see you. Good to see you watching. Yeah, I'm alright, mate. Are you? But here we are anyway, coming through Blanchimont. We're about to start the race here at Motive for the Tier 1s here for the GT3s. And it'll be Robbie to get us underway. Spur time there saying thanks, Chris. There, obviously, Chris there was... I don't know what he said, to be fair, I've forgotten. But both of those two were racing in Tier 2 a few moments ago, and obviously now with the Tier 1s out on track, they're chiming in. They've got a few of their friends out on the track, Scuderia Paul, and also Glen GT as well. So it's going to be an exciting one here. We're coming into the bus stop chicane. Now the race doesn't start here because for some reason, for goodness knows why, at Spa on the endurance layout, it means that you don't start until the second control line, which goes around La Source. So this line isn't where we start. We go round La Source and then up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. That will be where the race officially gets underway. So we're just going to come around this corner. You can see Awesome Gumball warming his tyres up there, making sure that they're in the right window, making sure they're set and ready to go. Joe in the comments says, I love you. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. But yeah, here we come around La Source. And we're about to go racing here for the season opener here at Motive, here at Spa-Francorchamps in the GT3 Championship. So once we get over this line, which is coming up in just a few moments' time, that little message will pop up on the screen at the bottom saying green, green, green. And here we go, we're racing down towards Eau Rouge now. So Robe seems to have not got a great start, and Ludo's already jumped him here as they come through the first part of the lap. So that's Ludo up into P1, got the perfect getaway. Awesome Gumball might have lost out. I think he's lost out to one of the... no, he hasn't actually lost out to the Audi on the outside. He's actually stayed ahead of Andrew. So Andrew attacking to the outside. Or is it Henry, actually? It might be Henry there. It is Henry who's on the outside. So Henry's up into 4th place and looking to try and attack here on the Bentley. So here we go, side by side. Henry looking pretty racy here in the first lap. So he's gone from 6th up into 3rd place. Great start from him. But it's Ludo leading ahead of Robe coming through the corner after Lacombe. You've got Henry who's got Tynus looking to his inside, looking to try and come back at him here. But I tell you what, Andrew didn't get a great start. Neither did Awesome Gumball here. But Tynus here trying to attack on the back of Henry as they come through Brussels. But Ludo ahead of Robe at the moment. Stays ahead of Tynus in the house for the time being. Tynus is going to go for a cutback here though, coming down the hill towards Pouon. They're going to be side by side all the way down into the corner now, and I think Tynus in the house is going to take that podium spot for the time being. Henry on the outside, powerless to do anything, and there goes Tynus in the house up into 3rd place here in this one. Awesome Gumball there just behind them ahead of Andrew, who's got a train of cars right here in a bit of a cluster, as Andrew here looking to the inside, trying to attack on Henry here. But yeah, Tynus in the house there, moving back through, I think, ahead of Henry for the time being. Henry's still there, but there's the train of cars right now. You can see somebody getting it a bit wrong in the background there. That was Capriglia, who got a little bit out of shape there coming out of campus. Seems to have somebody looking down his inside. That's Kev Sim and Capriglia side by side coming through in towards the final section of the lap. You can see also in the background there Kangi trying to attack on these guys as well. Kangi trying to go for a cutback there. Kev Sim staying ahead of Kangi for the time being. There's High Grade trying to attack on the back of Kangi as well as we're coming into the final section of the first lap of this race. So big gaggle of cars here fighting it out in the mid pack. But currently it's still Capriglia leading this train of cars. They've dropped off of everybody else right now. 25 of you watching the stream, smash the like button, guys, as we're coming into the bus stop chicane. Capriglia there holding the inside, tagging the curb a little bit, holding on for 12th place at the moment though. But it's Ludo leading out the front. He's got Robe just behind him, half a second between those two. They've gapped Tynus and Henry a little bit as they're coming into the source. Henry's trying to go for a cut back here on Tynus as they come out of the corner, but for the time being, nothing doing there between those guys. You've got Guido Chris currently on the back of Caterpillar here as we're coming down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. PS Vid's right there with them as well. Johnny Renwick on the back of this train, and then you've got a bit of a gap back to Capriglia, who's running in 12th place. So the lead pack consists of 11 cars who are all within a second of the car in front, barring Tynus, who is almost 2 seconds behind Robe. But it's very, very close here on lap 2 of this race, obviously, as you'd expect in these early stages. But yeah, it's really nothing to choose between any of these drivers right now. Henry looking to the outside of Tynus in the house, coming through the coupe, and he's going to get that one done, I think. Tynus gives him the space on the outside. They're still side by side. Tynus, they're getting the inside for the final part of the chicane there. managing to hold on to that just about. In the background there you've got Andrew running wide, and Arlampa's going to pick up the position there, and Andrew there might be losing a place here to the McLaren of Guido Christ. He's got Awesome Gumball down his inside, so Andrew there's dropped down to I think 6th place in this race. Guido Christ also trying to attack. Actually no, saying that, Andrew's he's going to lose out to Guido Christ here as well, so Guido Christ around the outside of No Name and moves himself through up into I think 7th place, but the timing board doesn't update until you reach the sector point, so I couldn't tell you definitively what position he's in, but Andrew there losing at least 3 places I think in that little exchange there. But Ludo's still out the front, leads by just about half a second at the moment, ahead of Robo. You can see these guys keeping the gap at around 2 seconds to Tynus and Henry, who are still running very close in 3rd and 4th places. Henry's got back ahead of Tynus there, you can see clearly on your screen. He's now running in that final podium place. In the background there, Andrew getting it horribly wrong there as he came out of campus. Obviously he's running a bit down the order compared to where he was because he's made a few mistakes, and he's continuing to make little errors here. He's got damage on the rear of the car as well, so that's going to be affecting his performance enormously here, as he's got Capriglia and Kev Sim on the back of him here. We're coming in towards the final section of the lap. You can see there is Capriglia. He's got there's Capriglia making a move there on Andrew, so Andrew there leaving the space on the inside, and Andrew down to 10th place here in this race. There you can see in the background Kev Sim trying to attack, Capriglia looking to the inside, trying to get onto the back of Capriglia if he can, and Andrew's coming into the pits here, so he's getting that damage fixed here. Obviously the pit window's open for the entire race, he can come in at any time, so you can't really blame him here for pulling the trigger early on and getting that damage sorted out as soon as he possibly can. But in the meantime, it's currently Ludo leading the race by just under a second here ahead of Roby. There is Henry, who's got Tynus still on the back of him with Arlampa right now. A few seconds back to Awesome Gumball, who's got Guido Chris pretty close with him. Johnny Renwick there running in 8th place ahead of Capriglia. There is the train of cars, Kev Sim, Counterpillar and Kangi. PS Fids, Mary Louise. There's High Grade ahead of Scooter Report, followed by Epiphany, Yellow Army, Low 3000, and there is Andrew currently riding through the pits at the moment, pretty much by last place, barring Glenn. But yeah, not the start to his Tier 1 career that Andrew would have been hoping for, I'm sure about that. Tynus has lost out to Arlampa here, so Arlampa's up into 4th. Tynus is trying to come back in and coming down the hill in towards Brussels, but he's not in any position to make anything happen just there then. Tucking in for the time being. Ludo though still leads ahead of Roby. These two have been running in 1st and 2nd since turn 2 basically, since Ludo got ahead of Roby and took the lead at the start. So Ludo's been holding his ground. These two are continuing to just eke out that gap to Henry. Tynus is still trying to come back at Arlampa as they come down the hill into Pouon. Bit of a slide there as he's trying to put the pressure here, trying to force Arlampa into a mistake. But I think it was a mistake that caused Arlampa to take P4 in the first place. And these guys are starting to drop a little bit off at the back of Henry at this stage. Henry is starting to just put a little bit of daylight between himself and these two battling. But lots of comments coming in here. The guys absolutely loving the racing right now. Sharka Zulu, Jill Silver and Totally 0K Spur Time really enjoying what they're watching at the moment. Tynus in the house still trying his best to force Arlampa into a bit of a mistake here. In the meantime, Awesome Gumball's lost out to Guido Chris, so Guido Chris up into P6. Just looking down the order, we've still got Kev Sim on the back of Counterpillar right now. Mary Louise is on the back of PS Vids here as these guys fighting out over 12th place, as you can see there, High Grade actually, who's attacking on the back of Mary Louise here. So here we come, through Blanchimont we go. I wonder if High Grade's going to look to try and chance a move here on Mary Louise as they're coming down towards the bus stop. No, he's too far back, and look like Mary Louise got a better run there coming out of Blanchimont. He's going to hold on ahead of him for the time being. But we go to this battle for 4th place because Arlampa's still just ahead of Tynus in the house right now as they come through La Source here for the 4th time in this race. Ludo's still out the front, still has the lead, but Roby's been pressuring him since the start. Roby obviously had pole position in qualifying, but Ludo getting the jump on him very early on here and has managed to hold his ground ever since, really. Counterpillar right on the back of Kev Sim as these guys come up towards our Rouge and Radion once again. So here we come down the Camel Straight. Kev Sim is going to defend to the middle part of the track here. Counterpillar's got a bit of a run. You can see that toe really playing effect here. Looks to the inside into Lacoon, but he's too far back just at the moment and has to tuck in for now. But great racing from these guys in these relatively early stages of this Tier 1 race. that's going to defaultly switch my microphone to my headphones, which I don't want because my audio is going to sound terrible. There you go, it should be back to normal now. But yeah, exciting first few laps to this race. Caterpillar still trying to put the pressure here on the back of Kevsim as they're coming down towards Pouan. Robe still on the back of Ludo right now as they're coming through Campus Corner, or rather Stavolo should I say. They're a corner ahead of where I thought they were, but yeah, Robe's just, at the moment I think he's quite content to sit in behind. We saw last season racing in Tier 2, he was the Tier 2 champion, had a lot of consistency and just was always up there or thereabouts on the podium or on the fringes of the podium. Took quite a few wins as well. I think he took at least 4 wins last season, did Robe, so he's definitely got the pace and he's got the consistency to win races here at Tier 1 level, I would say. He's just sticking to the back of Ludo right now. Ludo got quite a few podiums here in Tier 1 last season. Currently Tynus in the house, not really where I would expect him to be at this stage. Obviously with the absence of Jasmine, you'd think that this would be a golden opportunity for him, but he's currently falling off the back of Henry. So I wonder, maybe, I'm thinking at this stage, possibly Tynus in the house. I reckon he's probably gone for a full tank strategy. I reckon he's planning to do the whole race on one set of tyres. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that's what Tynus is doing here, because I can't really understand why he's not on the pace of Ludo and Robe at the moment. So yeah, I reckon possibly that Tynus in the house has put a full tank of fuel in the car and will not be needing to change tyres, which will mean they'll have a much quicker pit stop and will gain time on the leaders once the pit window rolls around. Obviously pit window is any time, but realistically if you're going to do a half tank it'd be in the middle of the race. If you're running a full tank it can be any time at all. And one little bluff that I've seen is drivers on a full tank will often pit in the middle of the race to try and make their rivals think that they're running a half tank, when actually they're doing the quick pit stop and running a very light tank. It's a clever little decoy which can sometimes just unsettle your opponents a little bit. But yeah, for sure, it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out, because it's all going to sort of come out in the wash anyway at some point. But Caterpillar still running in 9th place right now ahead of Kangi as they're coming down the hill towards Pouan once again. You've got PS Fids who's right with them as well, and Mary Louise on the back of them. Highgrade's just dropped off at the back of these guys a little bit, so he seems to have just lost a bit of time. He's got Epiphany now hassling him, so Highgrade, I don't know whether he made a mistake, but he seems to be nowhere close to these guys right now. But it's Caterpillar. Oh, Caterpillar's made a mistake and he's lost a load of places here. Caterpillar, what happened to him? He must have made a mistake coming out of Pouan, or maybe into Pouan, and oh no, he must have had a collision. He's had a collision there with who's that? It's a Bentley, so that is, hold on, Kangi. What? Oh, Kangi, what? Wait, what? Okay, so Kangi's made a mistake, independent of him, I think, or maybe I don't think they had a collision together, did they? Maybe they did. Caterpillar and Kangi both got damage, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was a collision between those two, or is it coincidentally they both happened to crash on the same lap. But nonetheless, we go back to the battle for the lead here, because Robe is really hassling the back of Ludo as they're coming out of La Source, and he's just cranking up the pressure a little bit here. There's Robe. Obviously took pole position in qualifying session, and you know, since the start he's been content to tuck in behind Ludo, but maybe now starting to just get a little bit antsy here, starting to feel a little bit cooped up, like he wants to be released into some clean air. Coming down the Camel Straight, the McLaren hasn't really got the top end here to bother the Ferrari too much, and Robe's just going to wait and watch. He's just going to throw a little feint to the inside, trying to put Ludo under some pressure. Looking to the outside here, Ludo holding his ground, not being phased one bit by Robe's little tactics here to try and put him off. But if these two continue to battle, it could potentially bring Henry a bit closer here in this race. And Tynus also now starting to match the leaders here, so he's keeping the gap at around 4 or 5 seconds to them. And I tell you what, if Tynus is running a full tank strategy and these guys aren't, then he's in a really strong position in this race. So, you know, anything can happen. There's still a very long way to go here in this one, that's for sure. But Ludo and Robe, there's Henry running just ahead of Tynus and Guido Christ at this point. Caterpillar there coming into the pits at the end of lap 5. Kangi likewise. Andrew's done his pit stop already and it's back out on the track here. But Ludo and Robe here coming through campus here on lap 6 of the race. Oh, and Robe very wide there. I'd noticed he was understeering going into the second part of campus there, but managed to keep it together for the time being. But yeah, it just looked like he was pushing the limits a little bit too much there, but holding on to it nicely in the end. So we watch the other three coming through into this final section of the lap. Awesome Gumball there running best of the rest right now in P6. The top 5 separated by about 4 seconds, but then it's a bit of a gap back to Awesome Gumball. He's got Johnny Renwick about 3 seconds behind him. Kevsim keeping the pressure on Johnny right now. PS Fids has managed to gap Mary Louise by 3 seconds, so he seems to be in a good position now to try and chase down this battle up ahead of him, which is going on between going on between Johnny and Kevsim. So PS Fids could be knocking on the door of a P7 here in a moment. Guido Chris nonetheless has just done the fastest lap of the race there from P5. Purple lap there you can see next to the number 5 there of the number 97 McLaren. So he is currently flying at this point and looking very close to a podium place here, as Tynus is still trying to get that position back off of Henry, which he lost a couple of laps ago. Ludo still out the front, just under a second his gap right now over Robe. Robe continuing to keep him on his toes, but can't make anything happen just at the moment here in this race. Kevsim still very close on the back of Johnny right now as they're coming up over Radion. As here he goes, Kevsim now. Is he going to look to the inside? Oh, PS Fids in the meantime is going to attack on both of them here. The straight line speed of PS Fids is absolutely superior there. He must have a lower downforce setup on his BMW because he's gone flying past them into Lacombe. PS Fids moves himself through up into P7, and that looked ridiculously easy there for our Season 2 champion. What a move, and he's up into 7th place. Like the other two weren't even there. Johnny and Kevsim still squabbling here over P8 into Brussels, but Kevsim too far back to make anything happen there on Johnny. But that was a brilliantly opportunistic move there from PS Fids up into 7th place. Beautifully telegraphed from him to see that going on and getting the run out of Radion. Superb move there from our Season 2 GT3 champion here at Motive. He's got to keep his wits about him to keep that position though, because Johnny and Kevsim are still putting that pressure on right now. In the meantime, you've got Robe on the back of Ludo as they're coming into the final sector here on lap 7. But these two, nothing's really changed at the moment. I don't think Robe's really looking to make a move at this point. Obviously, if Ludo were to make a mistake, then I'm sure he won't say no, but he's just not looking too... He's not looking too impatient at this point. As I say that, he just throws a little feint there again to try and put Ludo off, but I think he's quite happy to sit there. You know, if the opportunity presents itself, then he'll take it, but I don't think he's in too much of a hurry at this stage. These two are continuing to gap Henry, so despite the fact that Robe's maybe being held up a little bit by Ludo, they are still continuing to pull away from Henry, running in 3rd place. Tynus and Guido Chris are still right on the back of Henry right now, and Guido Chris is getting ever closer to the back of Tynus. So Tynus not really making an impression on Henry, I've got to say. Isn't really gaining anything at all on him, and Guido Chris is just keeping Tynus on his toes right now as they're coming up through Radion. Also noticing on the timing screen that Johnny Renwick is getting closer and closer on the back of Kevsim here as they're coming down towards Eau Rouge, but he's had to tuck in there by the looks of it. Has had to back out of any potential moves that might have been materialising. In the meantime, Henry's managed to gap Tynus and Guido by a bit more here, and Tynus has lost out to Guido Chris, so Guido Chris is up into P4 down the Kemmel Straight, so Guido Chris now up in position, can now try and chase down Henry for that final podium place, but Tynus is going to keep him on his toes here. But I've said a few times in this first stint that I think Tynus might be potentially running a full tank and not planning a tyre change. I mean, we've seen this happen with Tynus quite a few times, going very long into the stint and not actually changing tyres at the end. So we saw it at Suzuka last season where he took the win here in this Tier 1. So maybe we'll be seeing a similar story here at Spa tonight. A track where I think you generally see most people changing tyres, so it would be quite a audacious effort for him to not do that, especially with the track temperature being as high as it is as well. It could be a major factor in I assume it can be most drivers changing tyres here in this race. We see Highgrade coming into the pit, so he joins Andrew, Caterpillar and Kangi as now the fourth driver to come in and make his mandatory stop. We've got Ludo and Robe here coming through into Blanchimont here on lap 8. And still not really much to separate these guys as Robe looking to the inside into the bus stop chicane. Still just a bit too far away at this stage. But Ludo still keeping Robe at bay. Robe is actually a little bit closer this time around. If you can get a good run here out of Radion. Oh, bit of a slide there from Robe. No, he's knocked it into the wall. And Robe's got damage on the front of the car. And he's going to have to pit surely at the end of this lap. He's absolutely paddling right now. He's not kept the momentum at all. And he's going to lose more time here. But that's going to give Henry P2 and Guido Christoph into third. Tynus now running in fourth place in this race. And Robe, after being on the cusp of a win, oh, definitely in with a shout of it, let's say, not on the cusp because there's a long way to go, but he had a chance of really taking the fight to Ludo here in this race. That I think is now gone. He's going to have to come into the pits at the end of this lap, and it'll be probably about a minute or so to get that fixed. That is his chances of a podium and a strong finish in this race gone. Oh, you've got a feel for him there in his first race in Tier 1. Maybe the pressure of battling for the lead in his first race in the top league with Ludo has just bubbled over and got the better of him here. Robe's going to have to limp round to the pits and get himself in. What a shame, as it was an incredible performance up to this point. But it's all gone horribly wrong there for him. No, Robe says totally okay in the comments. Jill Silver also gutted to see that. Ludo leads by nearly 3 seconds here ahead of Henry. There's Guido Chris running in third place ahead of Tynus, but again, I think Tynus probably full tanking it, not planning a tyre change in this race. But wow, oh, that is absolutely gutting there for Robe. That really is. I think he has got some significant damage as well on the car, so he might struggle. I think he's going to have to come in and fix that damage when he comes in. Well, I don't know actually. Maybe he'd gain. Maybe he'd lose more time than he'd gain by getting it fixed. I'm not sure. It's a difficult one to judge, really. It's such a long lap here at Spa. If it doesn't lose you more than 2 seconds a lap, he's probably best off not getting it fixed. But then again, the thing is, what do you prioritise, comfort or speed? I mean, at this point, he might just want to have a car that actually drives properly, and he might just want to sacrifice the time lost in the race just for a car that feels nice. I don't know what he's going to be thinking about. Maybe he's going to be thinking about the championship. Potentially he won't get it fixed. We'll have to see. But Tynus nonetheless on the back of Guido Christ here, battling over the final podium place as these guys come down the Camel straight. You can see Henry just disappearing off into the distance. They're ahead of them in second place. Ludo's still leading the race right now, but there is Guido and there is Tynus. Tynus is still a little bit too far away at the moment to be able to put too much pressure on him. Totally okay saying that Robbie will need to pick because the McLaren relies on downforce around this circuit quite a bit. Yeah, I think he will be, because he'll probably be losing about 2 seconds a lap at least from the amount of damage that I saw on that car. That was some hefty damage, I have to say. In the meantime, we've still got battles going on. We've got Guido Christ and Tynus quite close for the final podium place. We've got Johnny and Kevsim here separated by under a second, battling over P7. And that's really it in terms of everything else at the moment. So Robe, Andrew, Caterpillar, High Grade Kangi and Caprigia. Actually, Caprigia hasn't been in, so I don't know why. He is now coming in. But Guido Chris still just ahead of Tynus right now as they're coming through Blanchimont. Guido Chris is just about good enough here over Tynus to not be within too much risk of being passed by him. Johnny's got ahead of Kevsim now up into P6, so he's made that move, I assume, coming through Stavilo. But Johnny there's now into some clean air, but Kevsim's going to probably try and keep the pressure on him here as they're coming down towards the bus stop, looking to make a move down here inside, but Kevsim's not going to make it from there, not that far back. So they come out the final corner once again. As Kevsim looking down the inside into La Source, but just a little bit too far back at the moment. But Guido's still holding on for that final podium spot right now ahead of Tynus in the house. So coming down the Camel Straight, but Tynus is still a little bit too far away at this stage. Kevsim on the back of Johnny as they're coming up through Radion. You see that Kevsim's got a really good run here on Johnny Renwick as he's now looking to the outside. These guys are going to be side by side coming down towards Lacombe. Johnny there hugging the inside line. Kevsim though is going to try and go round the outside here, but nothing doing. Johnny just hugs that inside line. Nowhere around for Kevsim at the moment as we've got Awesome Gumball into the pits. So he's making his mandatory pit stop with a bit of damage there on that Audi, it has to be said. Johnny and Kevsim still battling over P6 at the moment. You can see those two coming through your shot. Guido Kristen, Tynus still running in third and fourth places at the moment. They're currently about 5 seconds off of the race leader Ludo, who's got a second and a half over Henry. Got Kevsim here looking down the inside of Johnny into the bus stop, but just too far back at the moment. Johnny goes deep into the bus stop. Will that allow Kevsim a run? No, Kevsim's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 11, so Johnny able to continue on his way. No particular dramas there. Tynus still close on the back of Guido Chris as they're coming out onto the Camel Straight once again. Jill Silver in there saying Robe will have to climb the platoon now. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, that's for sure. So he came out in P17, now P16 obviously with Awesome Gumball coming into the pits. Kevsim coming in now, so we'll see how it all pans out, but it's going to be a real push for Robe to get in the top 10 I think tonight. That would be a superb performance if he can do that, I tell you. So Kevsim in, Scooter Paul also now into the pits as well here. Awesome Gumball, I think that's still the same stop that he was making about 5 minutes ago, so you can just see how much damage he's had on the car there. That would have been costing him heaps of lap time, but he is now back out on the track once again. So battle at the front is kind of coming back into play here a little bit, because Guido, Chris and Titus are both closing in on Ludo and Henry, so actually there's not really much separating the front guys at all right now. So you obviously had so Andrew's the highest driver of the pit stop drivers. Roby obviously was in the fight, but with his damage, definitely not anymore. Epiphany now into the pits here at the end of lap 12. But yeah, it's kind of only about just under 5 seconds separating the top four, so it is quite a close fight at the front. I'd say any one of these four drivers could be a race winner here in Tier 1 tonight. It's definitely race on. Henry seems to have gained quite a bit on Ludo in the first sort of sector here. He's really cranking up that pressure on the back of him. Epiphany's now on his way out of the pits, so he's got that pit stop done. Ludo's got Henry looking to his outside here, as they're side by side here coming down towards campus. And Henry's going to try and go round the long way here, and is he going to get this one done? He is going to get that one done, and Henry moves himself through up into the lead. What a fantastic overtake there from Henry. Ludo couldn't do anything about it, just saw him going round him and just let it happen. And Henry, you're a new race leader. Incredible stuff. I wasn't expecting Ludo to let that happen so easily. Guido Chris waiting in the wings. Henry, to be fair, did pull off a very, very audacious manoeuvre, and he made it work, so fair play to him. As these three have managed to gap Tinus a little bit, although Tinus on the whole is actually closing in on the leaders, and Ludo could be coming under real pressure here. I don't know whether he's struggling. Has he got a problem maybe, Ludo, because he seems to have just dropped the pace in the last couple of laps. Henry's into the pits, Ludo in the pits, and Guido Christ and Tinus staying out, so I wonder if Guido Christ has also gone for a full tank here maybe, like I've suspected that Tinus is since the beginning. If they're both on full tanks, then that could really pay dividends for them. I mean, difficult to know. You know, Guido Christ could be throwing a little bit of a bluff here by staying out a lap beyond the halfway point, because it's such a long lap here. You stay out one lap beyond the halfway point, you're really putting yourself out of sync. You know, around most tracks, if you stay out an extra lap or something, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, but around this circuit it makes an absolute world of a difference. But Henry and Ludo coming through the pits nonetheless. PS Fit staying out, so is Mary Louise, and so is LOL 3000. Glenn will be coming around soon. We'll have to see whether or not he makes his pit stop at the end of this lap. Yellow Army's coming in. It's Guido from Tinus at the moment. I reckon by the end of this next lap we'll probably have an idea of whether or not these two are full tanking it, because if they don't come in the end of this lap, I think we can pretty much be safely assured that they are full tanking it, because I wouldn't imagine they'd go 2 laps beyond the halfway mark around Spa if they're not running a full tank. And obviously with a full tank, that means that you do not have to change tyres, which puts you in a very strong position strategically, because it means that your pit stop's going to be much quicker than the other drivers who've already come in. So Henry and Ludo having longer pit stops as they're half tanking their cars. Although saying that, maybe Henry isn't. Maybe Henry's full tanked it, because he's off and away and he's well clear of Ludo. So I think Ludo's half tanked it, but maybe Henry's full tanked it, because Henry's away. He's gone. He's halfway down the Camel Straight. Ludo's just coming out of the pits. So Henry, I think, might have full tanked it here. We're just going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see where Guido and Tinus come out, and then we'll have a much stronger indication of where everyone stands. So Andrew's coming into Eau Rouge, and he's well behind Ludo. So Henry well ahead of Ludo, Ludo well ahead of Andrew. So no battles going on in that sort of department, but it'd be fascinating to see now whether Ludo's got the pace over Henry, because the gap's 20 seconds between those two. But it'd be fascinating now to see if Ludo's got some pace over Henry, because I would imagine that Henry probably would have not put any tyres on, but I can't imagine that Ludo hasn't put tyres on. But Guido Christ nonetheless into the pits, so I think he may have half tanked it as well. We'll see how quick he is in the pit box. PS Vids is coming in, so has he full tanked it or has he half tanked it? We'll wait and see what he does in the pits. Johnny Renwick staying out. I think we can be pretty assured now that he's full tanked it. Meridor, he's coming in. I think that's a half tank for him. But again, we just don't know. It's so difficult. I'm trying to speculate, but I don't know for sure. Lowell 3000 now coming in as well. And Guido Christic coming through the pit lane. Glenn's done his pit stop and is now off and away, so he's coming out of the pits right now. So that box ticks for him. Guido Chris stopping in the box. Now let's see how long he spends in that pit box. It's a long one here for Guido Christ, so he's definitely changing tyres or doing something to the car, putting some fuel in maybe. But Guido Christ certainly not off and away. PS Vids stopping in his box. What is his pit stop going to be like? I reckon PS Vids also doing the same. I reckon he's half tanking it because he's sat there for a little while. So Guido Christ is now off and away. Question is, where is Henry? Henry's gone. Henry's 100% full tanked it. There is no way on earth, because if you look at Ludo gained a second on Henry on that last lap. So Ludo way quicker than Henry that last time around, and as the further on that this race goes, the more that time differential will become prevalent. So I think that Guido Christ will be hunting down Henry near the end. But Ludo's come out, and he's come out well behind Guido Christ there. So there's Guido Christ. There is Ludo. So actually, it's not a massive gap, in all fairness. It's not enormous. Yeah, it's not enormous. Miro Louise here has done his stop go penalty. So no, it's not. Sorry. I mean, he's done his pit stop, and he's got a stop go penalty while he's at it. So not the smartest. Not the smartest. As I've just pulled out my studio mic again. And there we go, we're back on with our proper audio there. So Johnny into the pits here at the end of lap 15. He's making his mandatory pit stop. That now just leaves Tynus in the house. The only driver who hasn't done his mandatory pit stop. Now the thing is, Tynus in the house had exceptional pace in the first stint. He was only about 5 seconds behind the leader, who was at the time, it was actually Ludo at the time. He's only about 5 seconds behind Ludo when Ludo came in. And obviously Ludo, we know, is definitely half tanked it. Henry, we think, also is full tanked it. So it's going to be fascinating to watch, because Guido Christ and Ludo have got fresh tyres. Those two are going to be chasing after Henry, and Tynus, obviously the race leader, will come out ahead of them. But if he leaves it until the last lap, we won't really know where he stands until the last minute. So Tynus in the house could keep us all guessing here. Guido Christ and Ludo have just got to do qualifying laps, lap after lap after lap, and hope that it pays off here. Andrew and PS Vids battling over P6 and 7. Johnny's still in the pits, so I think that these two will maybe be battling over P5 and 6 in a moment. See where Johnny pops out after this pit stop that he's doing right now. So there's Andrew and PS Vids coming over the line there to start lap 16. Johnny's still in the box at this point. So yeah, these two are going to come out ahead of him. There's Andrew, there's PS Vids. Johnny still hasn't moved. Kev's still on the back of Epiphany right now as these two fight it out over 8th and 9th. Robe looking to try and pick up another driver here. I said earlier on it'd be a hell of a performance for him to get into the top 10. He's currently knocking on the door of a top 10. He's only about 3 or 4 seconds off of a P8 here. So Robe's done a really good comeback drive here in this race. Could be on course for a P7 because Johnny's still in the pits, so he hasn't moved. But Robe here making a move on Caterpillar, looking to the inside, coming down towards the end of the Kemmel Straight. And Robe's going to do that one quite routinely there, I think. I know Caterpillar's actually still on the outside and brakes late. No, certainly not routine, not even an overtake there. Robe has to tuck in for the time being. Johnny's still in the pits and Mary Louise coming in to do his stop-go penalty, but Johnny has not moved. So I don't quite know what is happening there with Johnny Renwick, but he has not moved now for about a minute. And Andrew, what's happened to Andrew? He was battling the PS Vids over P5 and he's made a mistake. He's got damage on the front of the car. You can see that bonnet trying to make a break. It's vibrating like hell on the front of that Audi, but he's now well behind PS Vids, who's running in P5. And Andrew here, it's gone from an okay debut here to not the best, I've got to say. And is he going to come in for damage? I think he might stick it out here, because with only a third of the race left, he'd probably lose more time coming in and getting it fixed, especially when you consider the fact that he's already done his mandatory pit stop, so he can't even sort of come in and do that at the same time while he's at it, kind of thing. Epiphany and Kevsim still fighting it out over 7th and 8th places. You've got Counterpillar just ahead of Robe at the moment as these guys coming into the final sector. That's Kevsim all over the back of Epiphany here, coming down towards the bus stop chicane. Looking to the outside, Epiphany defends the inside line here. Can Kevsim go round the outside? He's going to have the inside for the bus stop chicane, and here we go. Great move there. And Kevsim moves himself through up into 7th place. Excellent move there from him. Robe moving through ahead of Counterpillar up into 9th place. So a couple of moves going on there. So Robe up into 9th, Kevsim up into 7th. Action going on all over the place right now. Johnny's still in the pits, so I think he's retired the car. Mary Louise has rage quit, so we've lost Mary Louise. But 20 minutes left in this race, still plenty of time left in this race. And still Tynus in the house has the lead, but where is he going to come out once all is said and done here? Stephen Archibald, that's Archie in the comments saying Tynus is a machine. He is a very quick driver, Archie, but he's not got this signed and sealed, not yet. He's still got a pit. The question is though, where is he going to come out? Because he's going to be a stop and go pit stop for him. He's not going to have to put tyres or fuel in. He's full tanked it, and he's going to do the whole race on one set. He was in P4 before the others came into the pits. He wasn't leading, but he was quite close to the leaders, and I believe him and Guido Christ are the only drivers to have not changed tyres and not half tanked it. So he's in a similar position to Guido Christ. Sorry, to Henry, should I say, not to Guido Christ. Do apologise. Tynus and Henry have done the same thing. Guido Christ and Ludo have both changed tyres, so Guido Christ and Ludo are chasing down Henry, and once Tynus comes into the pits and gets his pit stop done, they will also be chasing him down as well. But Tynus at the moment is in the net race lead, but Tynus and Henry both full tanking it, doing the race on one set of tyres. Henry's gap to Guido Christ is now only 8.5 seconds, so if Guido Christ brings the gap down by about a second a lap, he'll be on Henry sort of at the end of the race. Well, it needs to be a bit more than a second a lap. It needs to be about a second and a half, second and a bit, a second and a half a lap. It needs to be of a gain for Guido Christ per lap on Henry if he is to be able to potentially deny him of that position. Is it going to be for the win? It all hinges on what Tynus in the house does here. But Raki saying in the comments, have to go. Good to see GT3 Sunday again. Hey, absolutely, mate. Good to see you, Raki, as always. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, I'm sure. But Tynus here, starting lap 19 of the race, and his gap to Henry, we don't know what it is yet because he's over a sector ahead, so we don't actually get to see the time differential. But it does not look close, does it? It looks like quite a bit. Obviously it's a long pit lane, so you lose a lot more time in the pits at Spa than you would at any other track. But to me at this stage it looks like he'd come out way ahead. Guido Christ gained half a second on Henry through the first sector. Robe still attacking on Epiphany as he looks to the inside, coming down towards Brussels, but just can't make it happen at the moment. has to just wait and bide his time. For now, Robe here, almost underneath Epiphany, coming down the hill. In towards Pouan we go. Still has to tuck in for now. See if we come down to campus again. And I tell you what, it looks like Epiphany's letting Robe through there, so he's thinking pick my battles, maybe not the best option to fight him there, and that's given Robe P8 in this race very easily indeed there. Here we are then back to battle for 9th place. Currently Caterpillar attacking on the back of Epiphany here down the Camel Straight. Looking to the outside, Epiphany covers that inside line. We saw Epiphany get passed by Robe on the previous lap. Caterpillar's going to swoop around the outside of the Coombe here and makes it done very easily there. Caterpillar up into 8th place. No dramas there. Sorry, 9th should I say. They crossed the timing board already. Crossed the sector point already there. So yeah, Caterpillar there moving through. Well, I mean, Robe's already 2 seconds up the road, so that goes to show Robe's pace over these guys. Obviously Robe was fighting for the win in the first stint before he binned it into the wall, got big damage and had to get it fixed in the pits. Lazy Camel there in the comments saying, hey guys, good to see a full house. Yeah, close to it actually. Well, I guess in a way, we had over 42 drivers turn up across both tiers tonight. So we had 21 in each tier actually, 21 in tier 2, 21 in tier 2, 21 in both tiers. So not too bad. 42 drivers. I'd say that's a decent turnout. Yeah. We got Kev Sim here, looking all over Andrew as we come into the bus stop, but just tucks in for the time being. Andrew goes a little bit deep coming through the bus stop, a little bit squirrely there coming through the middle part of the corner. Still running in P6 at the moment as we come over the line here to start lap 21. Kev Sim looking to the inside of Andrew into the source, but just too far away at the moment. In the meantime, Kev Sim's moved ahead of Andrew there going into the coombe. Robbie now closing up onto the back of these guys more and more here. There's Andrew there really wide onto the curb as he came through the corner after the coombe. Still right there, but on the back of these guys at the moment though. Robbie almost underneath Andrew here as they're coming down the hill towards Poumon. Looking to the inside, but Andrew's still got the measure of him right now. Lazy Camel says he'll be looking to try and join on Wednesday. He's got a PS5 now. Excellent. Be good to see you out on track, mate. It's been a long time since we've seen you here at Motive. Yeah, it'd be nice to see you jump in on the sprint nights, Wednesday nights. 2 sprint races, none of the no pit stops, no endurance, just straight out racing. As we've got Robe here all over the back of Andrew coming down towards turn 1. He's going to look to the inside here. Robe's going to send one. He goes a bit deep though, I think, and Andrew manages to get the cut back beautifully there. Just keeping on to 7th place at the moment. Robe tried it but couldn't make it stick. And still Andrew holds on for 7th place right now. Guido Chris now within 2 seconds of Henry on worn out tyres here. He's going to start to be feeling it quite a bit. Guido Chris obviously put his tyres on at the halfway point. Henry's been on his since the very beginning. And you can see the grip levels, it's just not even close. It's not even a contest here. Guido Chris is getting a 2.5 on this lap alone. This is going to be a formality. It's going to be about when Guido Chris is going to pick him off. How quickly can he do it? And how much can he minimise his time loss here behind Henry? It's crucial for Guido Chris that he makes this move, because Tinus in the house could potentially be a little bit further up the road. We don't know where he's going to come out once he comes in and makes his stop. Henry though holding his ground as we come into the bus stop chicane. Guido Chris not quite close enough to send one into the corner, but we know he's got someone who'll grip, and there's contact there between them. Henry spun round there by Guido Chris. He continues on his way. Guido Chris letting him carry on, but that would have just cost Guido Chris about 3 or 4 seconds there, and that could have just potentially thrown away his chances of coming out ahead of Tinus when Tinus pits. That would not have been what Guido Chris wanted at all there. And Henry now a little way clear. Obviously Guido Chris letting Henry continue on his way. Ludo's now within 5 seconds of Guido Chris. Obviously he's on fresh tyres as well here, but I think that has just handed Tynus the win, more than likely here in this race. Tynus coming through on the exit of the bus stop, about to complete lap 23. Here then, Guido still struggling to pick Henry off here as we're coming in towards Blanchimont. Looking to the inside, Henry goes wide and he's going to get ever so out of shape there. Guido is surely going to swoop through, and he does get it done there up into second place. Henry knows he's got no chance of setting up the inside into the bus stop, tucks in behind, knows that if he doesn't fight this too hard, he'll probably hold on ahead of Ludo and bring it home for a podium here. But Guido can now set out to try and bridge that gap to Tynus. But it's going to be a hell of a task, because with the time he lost behind Henry, that's probably put a nail in his chances of hunting Tynus down. Tynus on very worn out tyres here. It's just coming up on some traffic as well. So it's... not sure who it is actually. To be fair, but when's Tynus going to come in? Is it going to be this lap or the next lap? It's got to be one or the other. So Tynus in the house is coming in now. So here we go then. As we start the penultimate lap, Tynus in the house is in. Guido is almost a lap behind, but it takes almost a lap to do a pit stop here at Spa. But Tynus drives down the first part of the pit lane here. And Guido is not even halfway round yet. Henry about a second behind Guido at the moment, on the same strategy as Tynus. Ludo's going to be reeling in Henry quite quickly at the end, but I think he's just a little bit too far behind to get there in time. Tynus just entering the second part of the pit lane now. Guido coming into the final sector. Tynus still yet to hit his box just yet, but it will be a very quick stop. He's not going to be in there for any more than about 5 or 6 seconds, maybe 7 or 8 max if he's slow entering it. But his pit lanes, his garage is right at the end of the pits as well. And Guido is coming round into the bus stop chicane. Tynus is now stationary in his box. Guido is coming through the bus stop, but Tynus will be away any second. There he goes. Tynus is now gone and he's out towards the end of the pits. And he'll be off the limiter in just a moment. Guido is way behind. He's not even going to be close to Tynus in the house. The gap is about 20 seconds, I think, nearly 20 seconds between them. Tynus now out onto the Camel straight here with 2 laps left to go, and Guido is just coming up towards Eau Rouge. So Tynus has cleared him by miles here. It's not even close. Gap around 20 seconds between them. Tynus just coming through on the exit of Lacombe, and there is Guido just coming down towards Lacombe now. Guido Chris, crucially for him, he's come out ahead of Henry, so he'll score some good points there. No, he was already ahead of him, sorry, he passed him a few laps ago. What am I talking about? Sorry. But Ludo still hunting down Henry, but I think it's going to be too late. 2.7 the gap. I don't think he's got enough time. There's just not enough laps left in the race for him to pick up that position. But yeah, the gap is bang on 20 seconds between Tynus and Guido Christ. Guido Christ will probably bring the gap down a little bit more over the next lap and a half because he is on much fresher tyres, but 20 seconds is not, you're not gonna close that down. Not even with fresh tyres. Wouldn't matter if Tynus was on Bridgestone groove tyres. You're not going to gain 20 seconds. But Tynus coming through into the final sector. He's about to start the final lap of the race, and it's going to be a race win in the opening race of the season in the absence of his long-time teammate Jazzman. I'm sure Jazzman will be chuffed to bits to see his good mate here out in front doing the business. So Tynus starts the final lap, lap 26 here at Spa-Francorchamps. There's Guido Christ, there's Henry, and there is Ludo, only a couple of seconds behind him. PS Vids is in the pits here at the end of lap 25, so I don't know what's gone on there with him. Did he not put enough fuel in, or has he just not had enough? Oh, he's got damage. Well, to be honest, at this point, there's probably not much point coming in. But anyway, I tell you what, the gap between Henry and Ludo is coming down quickly now. Ludo might fancy his chances here of picking up a podium place on the final lap. It's not out of the question here. They've just got a lap car in between them. Oh, I want to tell you what, that lap car needs to see Ludo coming. I think I was a bit late there. Ludo moves through nonetheless, but that was a close call there between them. And Henry and Ludo now separated by, well, it's just over a second here. So Ludo's definitely going to be fancying an opportunity here to take a podium place in this season opener here at Spa tonight for Tier 1. Guido Chris setting very fast lap times in second place. The gap now down to 18 seconds to Tynus, but it's too little too late. He's not going to get there anywhere near in time. Just under a second separating Henry and Ludo as we're coming down the hill into Brussels right now. And Ludo continuing to keep this pressure on the back of Henry. What can he do here on this final lap of the race? Henry's extending the gap there, coming through that part of the track. Ludo on fresher tyres. You would think he'd be able to pick him off easily, but this part of the track is not easy to overtake. His best opportunity, I reckon, will be out of Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane. Can he get enough of a run? Can he run in the turbulent air of Henry and make his opportunity count here? Through through campus we go. And out of campus and down towards Stavelo here for the final time. It's going to be all about the final sector here for Ludo. What can he do? In the meantime, Tynus in the house. Our race leader is coming into the bus stop chicane. Second in the championship last season, second in the championship in season 1. Can he go one better this season here? Tynus in the house is going to get first blood here in this GT3 Championship Motive for Tier 1. Well done to him. He takes the checker flag here at Spa-Francorchamps. A well-deserved victory. Really good strategy there for him, making the no tyre change strategy work to perfection. Guido Chris cuts the final chicane there as he's going to bring it home to second place. As Henry goes deep there coming through the bus stop. And now has he got warnings? He looked like he might have played his last warning there beautifully. Henry there is going to take the final podium place ahead of Ludo. So he cut the bus stop chicane, but he obviously had a couple of warnings in hand there. Gets third ahead of Ludo in fourth. Kev Sim's coming to the final sector. We've got Kangi has finished the race in 12th, a lap down. Awesome Gumball and Scooter Paul also a lap down in 13th and 14th places. Kev Sim here is coming through into Blanchimont. It's going to be a 5th place finish here for him as he comes down towards the bus stop. As here he comes out onto the start finish straight now for the final time here at Spa. It's going to be a P5 there for Kev Sim. Glenn's going to come up towards the line to finish in 14th place. Lap down there in the end, so he's getting better. I tell you what, Glenn, he's improving a lot. Caterpillar that comes over to take 7th place behind Andrew, so Andrew's 6th, Caterpillar 7th. Epiphany is going to come around to take 8th place here in the end. He finishes a long way clear of Robo, who I don't think is anywhere near the finish yet. Yeah, Robo's just coming through in towards the bus stop now. He's just ahead of Yellow Army, who's a lap down on him. So Robo 1 lap down, or is he? No, he's not. He's not a lap down. Actually, he's not a lap down at all. He's on the lead lap here, is Robo. So Robo will finish in 9th place. Yellow Army a lap down, just behind him in 15th. Lower 3000 will complete the top 10. High Grade is coming around the final part of the lap, and it's going to be P10 here for High Grade, last driver on the lead lap there as he comes over the line. Caprigi has finished in P16. He's done. He's returned to the pits, and Piers Fitz will be the last driver to finish the race, and he is in splendid isolation right now. Came into the pits and I think just about started the last lap. I know he was stationary for much of it. But there we go, the leaderboard popping up on the screen there, and that is that, ladies and gentlemen, for the first round of the season here for Season 4. Great race there in Tier 1. Timeless taking the win ahead of Guido Christ, with Henry on the podium, just holding on ahead of Ludo there for that final podium place. Great racing across both tiers here tonight. A big thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thanks everybody for checking us out as always. Thanks to all the drivers. 42 of the drivers turned out here tonight for this opening round. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and if you want to get involved, go to www.motiveracing.com. Thanks everybody, we'll see you very soon. Take it easy, and good night.